What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's week 8, which means it's another round of the Sunday Social. I got with me, as always, Dylan, and unfortunately, Alan could not make it today. But as always, we get a fill in, and it's a good one. Matt filled in for us last time, and he's here to give us some more rock solid bets. How are you guys doing today, Matt? Let's start with you.
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. It's a lovely, chilly evening here in Kansas, which I'm sure it is the same for you guys up there in Wisconsin. But it's great. It's great. It's another Sunday. Football's here.
Yes. I'm doing all right, man. I had a rough college day for myself yesterday. I'm a fan of the Illini, and they just got steamrolled from the get-go yesterday. Matt, did you have a good college day yesterday or not so much?
I did. I was talking to Mike before the podcast, and I actually did. I ended up with a winning record. I went 9-7 on my college bets.
Good.
But Dylan, I was on the Illini. I was on the Illini plus 21.5, and I thought for sure they'd cover.
Yeah, I mean, I was feeling pretty good about with it coming into it yesterday, but man, it was apparent early that just the talent discrepancy and the speed that Oregon had over the Illini, it was telling from the start, man. Disappointing for sure, but on to next week.
I was gonna say, I know we had our discussion about the show. Was it worth it? Was it worth it to watch that game?
Absolutely. Wouldn't have missed it, man. It's just good that we're almost into November now, and Illini football is relevant. That's what I like, because that's not normally the case.
To be honest with you, I'm very surprised that Oregon is playing. Like, I know that they're an incredible team. I know they're incredible. Mm-hmm. They're fast everywhere. They miss matches. I'm very surprised that they've had 3 pretty tough games. I mean, the Purdue game wasn't really a tough, but I figured that'd be a letdown game last week.
Sure.
But they played a ranked team 2 weeks ago and then a ranked team yesterday. And I'm surprised at just how well they're playing at this point in time in the season, just still firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, they're very, very good.
Yeah, I was actually shocked when they beat Ohio State, but I feel like that is probably the moment where Oregon went like, all right, guys, I think we actually have a chance this year. Like, they were, I believe it was 0-2 or like 0-5. I know there's big difference there, but either way, they hadn't beaten a top 2 team ever in their school program, and I feel like that's the one that kind of they got them over the mountaintop a little bit. They got them in confidence, and now they're playing ranked teams and just not even allowing Illinois to cover.
Yeah, not even close.
But I know you. We were talking before the show, like you said, your college bets. If you remember, what was it, like 60-42 so far on the year?
Yeah, I'm somewhere right around there. I'd have to do some calculations, but yeah, I'm sitting somewhere right around the 60 and like 40 mark.
All right, guys, and this is why we have him on, because we're gonna take that winning record and apply it here for you guys to take some bets for you to make a little extra cash. Maybe you're like Dylan and you got to go across the border to make these bets. Either way, you're going to make some money. All right.
Yeah. Steer me in the right direction, Matt, because I was all over the Vikings money line on Thursday, and that did not work out so well.
Yeah, that one was a tough one. I did have a couple of my co-hosts take the Vikings as well. But yeah, guys, there's some lines I really like today. I've been trying to pay attention to the injuries as it's happening live to us, like who's in, who's out. One game that I really am in on right now is the Falcons Buccaneers. Right now, the Falcons are -2.5. We all know what happened with the Buccaneers wide receivers. No Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin. Trio of running backs. Which one's it going to be? Who's the most banged up? Who's the hot hand? The Falcons are at a point right now where they should be able to take this game and run. They should be able to use their talent that they have. I know it's the games in Tampa Bay and road games are a little bit difficult, but looking at the Buccaneers lineup right now, it's just one of those things where it's a pretty big mismatch on paper, right? The Falcons, we know, are a talented team. They've got a great offense. I think they can go into Tampa Bay this week, create some havoc. We know Baker's going to start doing his thing. He's going to try his hardest to keep the Buccaneers in the game. Jalen McMillan is a nice-looking receiver. Trey Palmer's there. Sterling Shepard's still there. but I think the Falcons might be a little too much for the Buccaneers today. So I'm going to punch my ticket with the Falcons at -2.5. I like that number. So I'm going to take the Falcons as my first one.
You already talked me into that. I'm with you there, man. I like that call a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
we saw what Kirk did to them. Yeah, we saw what Kirk did to them last time these two teams met up. So
yeah.
I'm in on it happen again. So
at least make it work for it a little bit more, Dylan. Come on, don't be so easy.
No,
just kidding.
No, I like the Falcons -2.5 today. I think that's a good number to lay your ticket down on the old birds. The next game, guys, it's going to be a little bit gross, and I'm somewhat confident in it, but I like the number, and that's the Eagles +2.5. The Eagles +2.5 going to Cincinnati. I know, again, it is a road game. It is a little bit scary, but I heard that T. Higgins is probably not going to play today, and that is an integral part of that offense for Jamar Chase to get open, right? The Eagles defense, the corners, the D-backs, we know that they've been a letdown in some weeks. They've been decent some weeks. I think Jamar Chase is going to do his thing, but I think the Eagles can find a rhythm. We know that their offense is solid. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith are back. Saquon Barkley is Saquon Barkley, and he's going to do his thing, right? I think the Eagles can find their groove, get a little bit of a run going here. I know they haven't looked very good recently, but I think they're a very talented team. We've seen the lows of Cincinnati already earlier this season, right? Yep. T. Higgins was not on the field. Joe Burrow seems to be getting a rhythm back, seems to be getting a groove back, but I think the Eagles can do enough to cover this game and even win this game. 2.5 is pretty much like a pick'em game, but I like the Eagles in this spot right here at +2.5.
I think you said it right off the top, man. If T. Higgins is out in this one, I like that a whole lot at 2.5 for sure. He's a big part of the offense. Too. It just opens things up for Jamar Chase and everything else too. So yeah, I get that for sure.
I know I got the update when I was coming home this morning that he is on an uphill battle to play this week. So I mean that does just help that bet out even more if he's on an uphill battle already.
Now, real quick, guys, have you heard? I haven't seen any news on it, and I've been trying to scour the web. Maybe it happened yesterday. I was pretty busy with college stuff yesterday. Is Jaden Daniels ruled out for this game?
No, he is trending in the right direction to play, but trending in the right direction. It came out this morning.
Okay,
well, correct. He's supposed to practice, and it's all going to be off the practice today, like their warm up.
Yep.
I'll give you a little freebie here. If Jaden Daniels plays, take the Commanders. If he plays, take the Commanders. Does it hurt you?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
go ahead.
I'll give you a little stat here. Every time I've been on the Commanders, they have won, and I've been on the Commanders 5 times this year. So I'm 5-0 when I'm on the Commanders. But there is a caveat here. If Jaden Daniels does not play, I will not be on. I will actually flip the script and be on the Bears. I will be on the Bears for that game. So you get a little 2-for-1 right there. You get a little 2-for-1. That was just a little caveat. I didn't know if he was playing or not. I haven't seen any updates on that.
It's close. Like I don't think he should play because if you're, this is a team that they have aspirations for the playoffs. Don't risk it. Don't play stupid. Mariota looked all right. Maybe he won't look all right against the Bears, but come on, there's plenty of games to go on.
Do you guys know anything about the rib cartilage injury? Like, can it get worse if it keeps getting hit on, or is it just a pain tolerance thing?
Any injury is going to hurt more when it gets,
right.
hit.
When I played college football, like I didn't have an injury exactly like that, but what it is to me, it is more of a pain tolerance deal. Like how much padding can he feel comfortable underneath his jersey in that specific area and still perform at a high level. The biggest risk of that kind of cartilage is that when it gets strained like that, when it gets bruised or anything like that, there's the possibility of any kind of tearing. There's a possibility where your ribs are a little bit weaker. So you don't have that full support of the cartilage in there. So the ribs can be a little loose. So if you do take a big hit there, there's a chance for like a dislocated rib, fractured rib. But it's more of depending on the severity of the injury, it's more of a pain tolerance situation. How much padding can he put back there and feel comfortable playing at a high level? So That's what I know of that kind of injury.
Sure.
But
Yeah, that's great info, man.
You know more about us. You played college ball.
well, I mean, it's different nowadays. Back then, we didn't have all those kinds of padding and stuff like that. I'm an old guy. You can see the grays in my beard here. But no, looking at the lines, though, just to get back on track, and I'll wrap mine up. It's basically the Commanders are -1. That's the only reason why I was like, maybe Jaden Daniels is playing. Essentially, it is a pick'em game. So if he plays, I'm on the Manders. If he doesn't play, I'm on the Bears. I like that either team there in that situation.
Yeah, totally fair.
I like that because it hurts Dylan.
I got one though, Matt, for you. What do you think about the Packers on the road favored by 4? I know Mike's a Packer fan here, but I like the Packers a lot today. I just think Jacksonville's a train wreck.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think Jordan Love, in my personal opinion, is a top 5 quarterback. I think he is one of the top 5 quarterbacks. The dude is just an amazing athlete. He's got more talent in his bones that I think. And I feel like he's not talked about enough yet. I feel like he's not talked about enough. Doug Peterson, the only reason why you would essentially, if someone wanted to pick an upset, the only reason why I would take the Jaguars in this situation is because every single week Doug Peterson is playing for his job. Every single week he is playing. Those players are playing for Doug Peterson to keep his job. I do think the Packers cover here. I think they are a better team. They're just more explosive in all facets of the game. Their defense is better. Their offense is better. They've got more weapons. I don't know what's going on in Jacksonville with like Gabe Davis, who they brought in and paid money. I don't know what's going on. It's basically Brian Thomas Jr. and that's it. Where's Christian Kirk?
Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram. Yeah. Evan Ingram. Christian Kirk has kind of disappeared. I know he was talks of a trade candidate for some teams. So yeah, I don't know what's going on in Jacksonville. I do like the Packers on the road in that matchup.
I like that, man. Everything. Go ahead, Mike.
Being a Packers fan, they always play down to the level of the team they're playing, I feel like. Unless it's the Bears. For some reason, they don't, if it's the Bears. But they always do that to where it worries me because, I mean, what was it, 2 years ago? I think they went into Jacksonville and they lost, or when it was Aaron Rodgers and its final hurrah.
Yeah. No, what keeps sticking out in my brain, man, is what the Packers defense and pass rush did to CJ Stroud last week. And
oh, man.
I said it on the Friday show, Mike, with you. The Texans' offensive line is so much better than the Jaguars, too. So I think the Packers defense could make it hell on them for sure.
And before I get out of here, those are basically my plays. I do have a lot more, but we don't need to bore you guys even more with that. But before I get out of here, though, I do have a start sit question for you. Am I allowed to ask you guys a start sit question?
Absolutely, man.
I just made a trade in fantasy football, and it was a pretty significant trade. I acquired some pretty high-powered players because it's now I have to win this week or I'm not getting it.
Okay.
I have Kareem Hunt. I have Josh Jacobs. I just acquired Jahmyr Gibbs. It's a 2 running back league. The flex, you cannot add a running back. What 2 do you like out of those 3?
Mike, you're muted. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Joe in here too for this because he wants
Joe,
in on
bring
this
it in
as well.
I want in on this. Which 2 running backs do you like out of that 3? Because I just acquired Gibbs.
All right, so repeat that again. So Gibbs and who else?
Kareem
Hunt and Jacobs
and Josh Jacobs.
And this is full PPR.
This is half point PPR, and the Raiders and Jaguars rush defense isn't very good, and I know Tennessee's like the 10th or 11th ranked team against running backs, but it is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah,
yeah.
So you're going Gibbs.
I almost leaned like if you wanna play it safe, Hunt's gonna get the majority of the. I feel like Hunt is probably guaranteed more touches than Jacobs, but Jacobs can do more with his touches, even if it's like 3 less. So, and it's a great matchup. So I think I lean Jacobs and Gibbs.
Me too.
Jacobs and Gibbs.
Yeah,
I think so. Just because, like,
it's close between Gibbs and Hunt. Or Jacobs
it is.
And Hunt, though. Jacobs and Hunt. Gibbs is up there. Jacobs and Hunt are, they're fraction of a point separated in projections and things like that. So, kind of go with the gut, man. Honestly, in that opinion, in that situation, like my rankings will tell you Jacobs. But that's the type of situation where like they're so close. Like you have a strong lean toward Hunt, do it, man. Go with it. It's your team.
I always like to think of it like this. Did you play Kyron Williams? Did you play Stafford on Thursday night where you're chasing points? Go chase points in this one, where Jacobs can get you a higher ceiling than Kareem Hunt in that case. But if you want to play it safe, Hunt's guaranteed his touches. So, I mean, I like to strive for the ceiling. It doesn't always work, but give me Jacobs and Gibbs.
I like it.
But that is awesome, Matt. We really appreciate you coming on here and giving us your bets, especially last second. It's really appreciated here, and I know everybody watching, they appreciate it as well. Make sure you let everybody know where they can find your stuff at.
Yeah, you can find us on our audio side. We're over at the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But all our video stuff is right here at Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel, fantasysixpack.net. Become an all-access member, guys. You'll have access to all of our bets and much more. Lots of people over there, and you'll have access to the Discord channel where you can hear us all chat about stuff like this on a daily basis.
And you get access to Matt, where he's 60 and 40 something in his college bets.
Somewhere right around the 60 and 40 number in college.
Is that good?
It's pretty good.
We made the joke. We made the joke before the show. I'm like, hey, he's got a better record than Robert Saleh with the Jets.
Definitely did, for sure. By a long shot.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
Good
thanks,
luck,
Matt.
man.
Great stuff, man.
Take care. That was good.
Hi, Joe.
What up?
How you feeling this morning, man?
You guys are frenemies
tired,
today,
man.
guys.
Everybody let me sleep in. All of a sudden I woke up. It was like 10. I'm like, oh, okay. I woke up to my son yelling at the dog. So yeah,
that's always good, man.
Yeah,
gotta love that. But it's always nice to sleep in. I'm not sure what that's like, but
yeah, I know. Yeah. I've done that forever. I was like, what just happened?
That's cool, man. Let's go ahead and just dive right into things, Joe. And one guy I want to bring up to you right away with your rankings is Kirk Cousins. Matt talked about it, him really liking the Falcons today, favored by 2.5. ECR has Kirk as a top 12 guy right at quarterback 12. Joe, you like it a little less here at quarterback 15. What are your thoughts here on Kirk in a pretty good matchup against Tampa Bay?
Kirk has not been a great fantasy quarterback this year. He has been great for the Falcons. The receivers are doing well. Drake London is a top, 3-5 receiver in fantasy. Kyle Pitts, as much as we hate on Kyle Pitts, I did the usage article this past week. He's been good for tight ends this year. Shockingly, it's not what we wanted, but he's been good. Bijan's getting in the way of the getting in the mix finally here. Kirk Cousins, though, his finishes on the year: 28, 8, 23, 26, 1, 23, and 22. The 23 was also against Carolina, who is a
awful
funnel defense, right? It's not good. I mean, he had that blow-up game in Tampa, or against Tampa on a national game. So all the hype got picked up right there. But overall, man, he's hard to start. You really can't use him. Now, of course, I say that he's going to go out and have a repeat of the Tampa game, but sorry, but no. Overall, just not very interested in Kirk Cousins.
All right, man. That's totally fair. Looking at the running back side of things here, and I'm looking at guys who you like a lot this week, and you're 5 spots higher than consensus on J.K. Dobbins. ECR has him at RB12. Joe, you have him as your RB7. What are your thoughts here? The Dobbins and the Chargers after a pretty bad week for the running game last week against Arizona.
Yeah. So yeah, that was quite the shocker there. I mean, look, really, when it comes down to this, it's another great matchup. The Saints defense has been awful. They're allowing, I believe, if I'm looking at this right, it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 most points on average to running backs. And we know Dobbins is getting the volume. as much as they probably shouldn't give him as much volume as they are, they should get Kidal, Kamani Vidal more involved. They're not.
Agreed.
That's all there is to it. And so you add that kind of volume with a run heavy team in a premium matchup. I'm probably going to be moving him up later today. I wasn't able to get to my rankings this morning for obvious reasons, but I will be updating them immediately after the show and then closer to game time. And he's looking like he's going to be moving up.
Right on. I like that, Joe. Next guy here, Mr. Brian Robinson, who's been pretty much a locked in RB2 every single week this year. Joe, ECR has him as running back 22. Joe, you have him outside your RB2 range at RB 26, which I believe would be his worst finish of the season. What are your thoughts here going up against the Bears defense?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the opposite, right? So Bears defense is pretty stout. They're not a lockdown defense, but against the run, but they're pretty good, right? And I'm kind of expecting the Commanders to sit Jaden Daniels, and when you sit Jaden Daniels, you have to go to Marcus Mariota. As good as Mariota looked last week, let's be real, that was the Panthers. And they had already kind of gotten out to a pretty – the momentum was already all on the Commanders in that game. It was game over already. Out of that game. Like, it was crazy. Like, he came in, it was just kind of like Panthers just kind of laid down. That game was awful. So, yeah, it's a lot of factors. It's the Bears. It's no Jaden Daniels. Now, if Jaden Daniels plays, I'm changing my tune big time here. Brian Robinson's everybody's going up for the Commanders. Everybody.
Okay.
So, guys,
even Terry McLaurin, with him getting Jalen Johnson a lot of the game, who's averaging. Jamie put this stat in our chat on Friday. That Jalen Johnson in his coverage this year averages 1.5 catches allowed per game and 18 yards. So I'm kind of curious your thoughts on Terry here. If Daniels plays, are you still comfortable, Joe, with him, or is he gonna move down from where you normally have him? Sorry, I kind of just put you on the spot there.
No, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of who they've played. So let's see here. Let's look at their schedule, right? So Tennessee, nobody to worry about. Houston, okay. The Colts, nobody to worry about. The Rams didn't have Puka or the Panthers, and then they played the Jags. They ain't played nobody. So I'll still be okay with Terry McLaurin.
All right.
He may not have like a blow up game, but I think he'll still be okay. And like if they're smart, the Commanders like shift him around, pre-snap kind of movement there, and they get him off of that coverage. Unless he is being truly shadowed, which I don't know if you really have to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and Johnson usually just plays one side of the field anyways, so that makes sense, man. One thing I do want to bring up, Joe, is the Tampa Bay pass catchers, and I'm curious your thoughts here. Who do you think the number one guy is with Mike Evans gone down and Chris Godwin out? Who is the guy that you have ranked highest? I see here off the top, you have Sterling Shepard ahead of ECR by 9 spots he's still wide receiver 52. And I don't know if you really want to start any of these guys this week, but with bye week hell coming around the corner here the next couple weeks, who is the guy that you think will be the number one target with those guys out?
Well, let's just say we hope for a speedy recovery from Mike Evans. We don't have to worry about this, right? But right now, my lean is McMillan because he's been on the field more. He's been kind of the third guy. Honestly, man, I'll be perfectly honest. I have no idea. Like, I mean, I was trying to help Mark Strasburg a little bit, kind of picking some kind of stash guys for his article, which I'm hoping comes out this morning at some point. A little too late now, but but so a lot of these guys, McMillan is rostered in like 40-something% of Yahoo leagues. That's the roster sit percentage that we use. Shepard and Palmer both in like the single digits, man. So like, I say take a shot in the dark, pick up one of these guys, and if Mike Evans is out, and like, who knows, maybe Sterling Shepard does what Slayton did over in New York, just becomes like the little, the trusted vet in the offense that they can just go to, right? Maybe he picks up the Godwin role. Who knows? Like, because I know everybody obviously wants McMillan because he's been the guy, he's been the third. And so, I get it. Otten's obviously in play. I think they're going to dump down to the running backs a lot more. So as much as we don't like Rashad White anymore, but he might actually get a lot more pass catches. So
Bucky's banged up too.
Yeah. So there's that. But I mean, I say take a shot in the dark on like Sterling Shepard. He would be actually my preferred over Palmer. The more I thought about it later in the week, I got a couple shares of Palmer early, and it was like, I should have gone after Shepard. I almost wasn't even thinking about it. Like, he's such an afterthought. It's exactly like Slayton, man, in New York. He was such an afterthought, and then it was like, oh, that's right. This guy's still hanging around.
Yeah. I think it's Shepard too. I think that's the right answer. He's got chemistry with Baker going back to college too, and I think he does slide right into that Godwin role. So I like that call. And then Joe, real quick here, let's just touch on the tight end position. And you probably know who I'm gonna ask you about because I think I've asked you this the last couple weeks, and that's Mark Andrews, man. ECR a little bit higher on him than you are at tight end 15. You still have him down at 18. Still not enough confidence in Mark Andrews yet, huh?
He's seen 4 targets a game. I don't know what to do. He's on the field less than likely. He's just catching touchdowns the last 2 games. That's the only reason why we care anymore. If he doesn't catch those touchdowns, he's getting what? 3 points a game? Like 4 points a game? Like, I don't know. I'd rather take a lot of these guys ahead of him who are seeing more volume. I get it. Like, if you're no offense, Mike, but like, look, if you're having the Tucker Kraft versus Mark Andrews debate, which I think some people are, right? Because Andrews was dropped in a lot of leagues. So you might have picked him up just for whatever. Just hope that he comes back. I mean, is Tucker Kraft a volume play? I don't really think so. There's a lot of pass catchers in Green Bay, right? So, Kraft is getting, 5 or 6 to where Andrews is getting 3 or 4. Who do you think is going to score a touchdown more? That's kind of what you got to go with. That's the range where it's like, who cares? And go with your gut. That that tight end 10, Kincaid down all the way through, basically Noah Fant, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's all like who's going to score. None of those guys. Yeah, every once in a while, somebody will get a lot of volume, like Hunter Henry, right? Yeah. But for the most part, like a lot of those guys are just touchdown dependent. So go with who you think is going to score. A lot of times the rankings and the projections, they're very heavily leaned at that range toward, volume. The touchdown projections for all of those guys is like 0.25. So like, that's it. It's hard to project touchdown.
Not with Jordan Love's 8% touchdown rate right now. Maybe you could predict it a little bit.
But they're not just going to Kraft. They're going to Dobbs. It's going to Wicks. It's going to Reed. Finally, Josh Jacobs got in the mix, right?
Last week,
there we go. So they're not going to Tucker Kraft is the problem. To where that's where the argument goes for Andrews is that he is seeing red zone work. He is seeing end zone targets. Kraft is not. So there's the debate there. So if you want to go Andrews, you want to take a shot, go for it. The rankings say otherwise, but I totally get it. It's tough.
I won't fight back on it. I could, but I won't.
I can hang out for a little bit longer if we need to. If you need to. Oh no, there's Bonni. I see him.
We got. Sorry, I was telling you to fix your tweet. You're on a rampage this week with your tweets.
What?
Not tagging people or not tagging the correct people.
Oh, what did I do wrong?
You forgot about Ike. Come on, man.
I didn't know he was coming on. Leave me alone.
It was in the description. You give me crap all the time for it, and I made sure it was in there this time.
I woke up 10 minutes before the show. Leave me alone. You're lucky I got here.
I didn't
Off the rails.
I was pulling you.
The one time I did it. That's good. But Joe,
Definitely
let
pulling him.
everybody-
Dylan's over here like, yeah, calling him out. He knows.
Oh my God. All right. Let's get back on the rails here. Joe, let everybody know where they can find your stuff at, what you got going on.
All right, man. So it's right here at 6p_Joe on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. FantasySixpack.net obviously is where we got it. All the award-winning rankings, and then the Discord, all that kind of good stuff. So have a good show, guys. I will talk to you soon.
I kind of thought you'd be saying more. That's my bad.
I don't know. Do I need to promote it on the show that has like an extra 2 hours?
Come on, you need selfless promotions all the time. No. Have a good one, Joe. Good luck in the rankings contest. Hopefully you stay in the top 5.
All right, man. Thanks. See you guys.
Take care.
Thanks, Joe. Good luck.
All right, now time to bring in our special guest. What's up, Ike, from the Friday show? How you doing, man? You're muted.
Hey,
Hey, man.
Don't pull on me.
what's up?
And don't. Not too much. It sounds like you just woke up too.
Does your shirt say trashy?
Yes, it does. Stay trash,
Okay.
and it's got a raccoon.
Nice.
What? What do you want from me?
You're
At
silly.
least my hat doesn't say Timber Touch. Or
Shout
Timber
out
Tech.
to Timber Tech, actually.
Not a
Yeah.
sponsor.
No, free advertisement here.
Jesus. All right. Dylan, take this one right now, and I'll take the next.
All right, we got Cody here. What's up, man? Good morning. Full PPR. Jameer Gibbs, Kenneth Walker, Kareem Hunt, Javonte Williams, pick 3. Thanks. Ike, go ahead. Start with you.
I'll go Gibbs, Walker, and Hunt. I'm not. Javonte had a good week last week. I don't know if he'll be able to do it again, though.
It's a
man,
good
it's a prime
matchup for
matchup.
Javonte, but I still lean. I'm with you here, Ike. I think it's Gibbs, Walker, and Hunt. I didn't talk about it earlier, but I think Hunt has top 5 upside this week with everything he's got, everything he's seeing, and the Raiders are awful.
As long as he's a starter, he
against
should
the
be
run.
top 15 running back every week.
Yeah. Javonte's around that range too at top 15. That's what makes it tough here. But I go the first 3 here. Make your case here, Mike. It sounds like you want to for Javonte Williams.
Just in this case, like normally this would be Kareem Hunt over Javonte Williams, but we have a matchup here. One of the only 2 teams to allow 30-plus points to running backs here, making somebody like even Jaleel McLaughlin viable as a flex play in this matchup. So I think the Raiders are a good matchup too, 6th best matchup for running backs, but I still lean Javonte with this one. I'm pulling up the snaps right now. Last week, Javonte dominated the snap 63% to Jaleel McLaughlin's 21. So we know this is Javonte's backfield, where Hunt could see a little bit of CEH action. He could see a little bit of Carson Steele eating into him. Where I think I'm sitting Hunt in this one, Cody. Walker's got a great matchup. Walker's a smash play, and you can't sit Gibbs,
Especially with DK probably out.
Dude, Walker has a smash play this week against who are they playing?
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Thank you. That's the other team that is allowing
The weather.
the running back.
I saw this morning too. The weather's supposed to be kind of crappy in Seattle, so Kenneth Walker on the ground, I think, is a very, very safe play here. Go ahead, Mike. Take us away with Bob Dole. Good to see you, Bob.
What's up, Bob? It's always nice to have you here. Repeat customer, repeat watcher. He needs a running back and a wide receiver and a flex. It looks like he's got Barkley and Henry starting at RB, Devontae Smith, London starting at wide receiver. Leaves a Mason, Zach Moss, Bigsby, Pickens, Olave for a potential flex. I think this is
Bigsby.
Excuse me. You play Bigsby over Mason? I think
ETN's
it's
out.
Mason in the. I know, but Mason is on the 49ers, and I trust the 49ers more than I trust the
But
Jaguars.
Bigsby has, as a starter, he's been going bonkers.
But the thing is Bigsby's not getting involved in the passing game, and
That's
I mean,
fair.
maybe
That's
this
fair.
maybe this doesn't go as we project it, but most people are projecting the Packers are going to go up early on the Jaguars, which would not give Bigsby the ability to dominate, because it was only last week when they were winning against the Patriots where Bigsby made his hay, getting those touchdowns to secure the game for him.
What makes this hard for me is that the way for the Jaguars to win this game is they need to rely on Tank Bigsby and run the ball because, Mike, the Packers, one thing you can do against the Packers that we've seen is be able to run the football on them. So that's what makes it tough, man. And they're probably a little better under Halfley.
I feel like
they
do
probably
you
got
really
a little
want Jordan
better.
Mason, who's had 3 straight under 10 games, under 10-point
That's
games?
also scary, and I don't think the shoulder injury is going away. So I'm really tossing between the two here. Pickens is also interesting against the
I like him
Giants
with
as
Russell.
well.
I knew he'd be
And
good with him. So
Deontay Banks shadows too, and he's not good, guys. So I kind of like Pickens a little bit here
what
too.
if you start Pickens over Smith? Would you do that? No.
I mean, I appreciate your guys' candor, but I think this is overthinking it. I think it's put Mason in. I know he's had a rough couple of weeks, but with
He's
the
really
eye
only
injury-
had like 2 good weeks, to be honest.
No, that's not true. Before his injury in the with the shoulder,
A 25-point game,
NFL.
and then before that, it was a 10-point game.
He was leading the NFL in rushing yards before his.
I'm sure that's not hard to do
I mean,
in this day and age.
No.
In fantasy, man, that doesn't matter. It's Mason doesn't see any work in the passing game either.
Yeah,
but I mean,
Mike
it's all,
LaPlant, 10, 25, 7, 8, 8. His first 2 weeks were good, though.
3 games. He's got 220 yards in the past 3 games just on the ground. He's only got 5 targets. I get it. But, man, it's a safer floor. Like Pickens, okay, you'll get 9 targets. He only caught 5 of them, I believe, or 4 of them from Russell Wilson. Olave's dealing with Rattler. Bigsby doesn't get involved in the passing game even less than Mason. But at least Mason's going to get more, actual rushing attempts because I think the Niners will be up in this game or at least be competitive, where I don't think the Jaguars are going to be competitive and they can't lean on Bigsby.
I want to bring Joe in here to kind of break the tie here because I feel like we're not helping Bob.
I know what he's going to lean. I don't know.
I don't know if he's ready to pop in. He's putting his headphones back on. Mike, why don't you bring him in here?
I know what he's going to say. At least I think I do. But go ahead, Joe.
Do we know if it's PPR or not?
I gotta read this. Sorry, I was half paying attention. I heard my name through the. I took my headphones off, and I heard my name through the headphones. I was like, wait, what?
I'll fill you in.
Barkley
He
and
needs
Henry starting running back, Devontae and London starting receiver. Mason, Moss, Bigsby, Pickens, and Olave for position flex. Ooh.
We're kind of all over the place here, man. Mike is really pounding the table for Jordan Mason. Ike said Tank Bigsby. I get that thought. I also get the Pickens thought here, going up against the Giants.
I mean, you could run all over the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
4th best matchup.
Where?
I'm leaning Mason too in a
I
week
knew
where,
you were gonna say it.
dude, in a week where they're down every single pass catcher that they possibly have, like every good one that we like. I mean, even Juwan Jennings isn't healthy.
Mm-hmm.
They have to lean on the run this week. I mean, yeah, Debo might play, but I mean, how healthy is he really going to be? I mean,
Kittle's
coming
banged
off,
up.
if he really had pneumonia this week, like he's not 100%. There's no way. Like I know these athletes are, you know, their bodies can do freakish things, man. But dude, no way. There's no way he's 100%. But I gotta leave Mason on this one.
Okay.
You
heard it here, Bob.
Joe. Thank you, Joe, for coming in here and falling on my side.
It's never a good side, Joe. Never a good side.
On second thought,
just out of spite.
George Pickens. Is this kind of like when Dave gives DFS advice and then Mark says, "Hey, I agree." Dave's like, "Damn it."
I do like that. I do like that banter, that rivalry in the Discord, man. It makes me laugh between those two for sure.
But you're missing out on everybody. Come on in. We're
Yep.
Joe's pulling a George Pickens, and out of spite, picking George Pickens.
No,
I like it.
Not.
That was awesome. Appreciate you, Joe. You want to stick
I'm in the
around or
background.
you want to head out?
I'm in the background. Let me know if you have any more tiebreakers.
See you, Joe.
Oh, we will. Bye. All right, Clayton's got one here. What's up, buddy? Flex one, Rashad White, Kyle Pitts, Noah Brown, Alex Pierce. It's rough. Good morning. Appreciate you, man. I don't know if I'm as handsome with the glasses on, but maybe these two are. I think I lean in this one. It's ugly, but you got to go Rashad White with Bucky Irving out with all the injuries. Mike Evans.
Is he for sure ruled out?
Even if he's out, I'm still
Bucky Irving,
I'm still going Rashad White.
I believe Bucky Irving was ruled out on Friday.
He was questionable last I saw.
Okay.
I'm playing Rashad White even if he's in.
Yeah, because you can't play Noah Brown and Mariota.
Buccaneers have nobody.
I think, no, I'm okay going Rashad White.
Between,
I think he got like 8 targets last week.
It's between Pitts and Rashad White. If this was like tight end premium, which I don't think it is, because I think it's the American Raz League, I'd be going Rashad White.
Yeah, Baker trusts Rashad too to be in the right place at the right time and all that stuff, be his safety valve. So I'm with you. We got one from Dion here. One flex. Nick Chubb, Rashad White, Tyler Lockett with a little goofy weather here. Jalen Waddle, which I saw you could see wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour in that game. And then we also have Rashad Bateman with an injured, banged up Zay Flowers here. Where are you guys going? Mike, we'll let you start here, man.
I hate you, Joe. Joe shared that Bucky Irving is expected to play.
White, told you. Yeah.
I still go White. I will lean... Man, I don't trust, like I said it on the show on Friday, I don't trust Waddle just yet. But when you're comparing him to the other options here, I think I would lean Waddle with Tua coming back against a good matchup in the Arizona Cardinals.
That's the right answer, man. I thought you were going to lean off of Waddle here, but
I was leaning between like White, Lockett, and Waddle. I was
thinking White.
I don't mind Lockett without DK, but at the same time, I like Waddle a lot more with Tua.
Zay Flowers is questionable, so I mean, if you're in a deeper league, Bateman would be fine.
Make your case on Waddle. Make your case on Waddle. Like, what's holding you back from just plugging him in? You don't have one.
Okay. I said White.
No, I said make your case against Waddle. I meant
is they might give him like short passes, him and Tyreek Hill, just because they don't want to hurt Tua again, like maybe some short developing routes instead of waiting for them to go deep. So you might get like his one stat line from his rookie year where he catches 8 balls for 60 yards or something like that.
Yeah, I like the matchup too. Surprisingly, Arizona shut down the run against the Chargers, but they let Justin Herbert throw for 350. So I think Tua is going to throw it pretty well around the yard today. I think Jalen Waddle benefits from that. So that's why I lean him over these other guys.
I find it so hard to trust Waddle right away. Like I trust Achane and Hill right away, but he's dealing with the I believe it was an ankle injury. So that does worry me a little bit, but I mean, out of these options, if you, like I said, if I always give you the ceiling or the floor option, Rashad White's your safe option. If you're chasing points and you played against Puka, Kyron Williams, go Waddle because he's your best chance of winning at that point.
Guys, I want to get your thoughts here on these questions I answered in our Discord too. And just a reminder, everyone, become an All Access member. Hop in our Discord. Go ahead, hit us with the news.
No, yours is more important than the news. Go ahead.
Yeah, become an All Access member, guys. We appreciate it. Come chop up football with us in all these Discord rooms. It really is a good time. And we got a good question here from this morning. Are we trusting Debo off the pneumonia or Najee Harris in the flex here?
I tell you who we're not trusting, and it's T. Higgins because he is ruled inactive right now.
There it is. Yep.
Get him out of your lineup, guys. Oh, wow. I got the update. DeAndre Hopkins will play a significant amount of snaps in week 8.
Can't figure that.
Joe, did you hear that? Just the rankings.
He's gone.
Well, what do we got here, guys? Debo Samuel or Najee?
I would.
I kind of played it on the fence a little bit. I said, hopefully we get some clarity on Debo here. So I would still lean him, even though he might not be a full goal. Who else is getting the ball for the Niners?
I'm going to go Debo.
No, I can't, man. I can't trust
him without Ayuk is really good. I just got to hope he's healthy.
That's the thing. I don't trust their injury designations. They lied about CFC.
That's fair.
They didn't put Debo on the injury last week, and all of a sudden he has pneumonia randomly.
I mean, they did say he was ill.
Yeah.
But
That's
like
all you got to do.
he developed pneumonia on the field. So I think I just play the safer route and I'd go Najee in that one, because unless you get more clarity on Debo is like fully healthy, if he's fully healthy, you get that clarity, play Debo.
Hell,
but
by that point, it's going to be Sunday night, and you're gonna have to play.
That's right. So man, I
Yeah.
don't trust it. Go Najee. You're right. That's a Sunday night game. Just go Najee in that one. He's guaranteed 15 touches.
Yeah, I'll go with LaPlant too, just in case.
And then we got another one, guys. Tucker Kraft or Trey McBride? Standard league.
I'm gonna go Trey McBride in this one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I actually lean Tucker Kraft, and this is where I wanted to argue with Joe about. Like, he says that Tucker Kraft's not getting red zone targets. Not true. I went to the game last week. I saw him catch a touchdown right in front of my eyes.
Was it a red zone target though?
Yes, it was in the red zone.
I thought maybe it was a deep play.
No. But I normally would lean Kraft because, at that point in the tight end range, you're looking for touchdowns. But I think McBride this week has a good matchup where I believe the Dolphins get up and the Cardinals just have to throw. They're forced to throw. So give me McBride.
Yeah. And then we got one more from our Discord users, guys. We should have started with these ones because we love our Discord users, man. We got start Kamara with the broken hand, or would you go Bucky now that Mike knows that he's active?
Kamara still.
Kamara. He's been playing with a broken hand since Chiefs, so he's still doing okay.
Yeah. I would still play Kamara.
I think it's Kamara.
All right. So where you left me
off on Taylor here. We got Rome, Hopkins, or Wandale, full point PPR. No, we're gonna get from Wandale probably 5 or 6 catches. They just might be for 30 yards.
I'm going Hopkins.
I think with the news that I just got literally 5 minutes ago about Hopkins playing a significant amount of snaps, I will go Hopkins in this case, because they could use Hopkins as it would be stupid, but they could use him in the Rashee Rice role to where you could probably see him getting like 8 receptions for like maybe 60, 70 yards because he's not going to break one off.
I'm all right with those options. I think I'm cool with going Hopkins as well. I do like hunting that I do like hunting that matchup to find the end zone once or twice. But this is also kind of a bit of a revenge game for Patrick Mahomes with the Raiders, talking a bunch of crap. So, and Mahomes said that'll be handled when it gets handled. So I feel like this could be his first top 12 finish since week whatever from last year, Mike.
It was week 12 last year against the Raiders that he had his last top 12 finish. So, I mean, I feel like I'm getting that vibe too. We might have Patrick Mahomes' first top 12 finish this week.
Yeah. Rome's intriguing too. I think DJ Moore is in a smash spot this week. So that probably means Rome's going to have a good week instead. So, I mean, that he's intriguing to me too, but I don't think there's any safety in playing Rome whatsoever. With all the pass catchers,
you're playing him based off the matchup. He's the third option, and in worst case scenarios, Cole Kmet's the third option, and Rome's the fourth.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Take us to Dion's question.
All right, he needs to start one and flex one. So you got 2 choices here. You got Jordan Mason, Josh Jacobs, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. I think Chubb is the easy sit. And in this one, I lean. Oh, man, this sucks. I lean Mason and Jacobs. I got to sit Hunt.
No, I'm going to go Hunt and Mason as well there.
I didn't go Hunt and Mason.
I did.
Okay. I see how it is. Joe, we want to get back in here? Help me out? No, I'm just kidding.
No, man, Jacobs... The Jaguars get beat up so bad through the air. They're going to need Josh Jacobs is the problem. Maybe he salts the game away if they're up by a couple touchdowns. Maybe that's where he sees the volume that way. I just like Hunt this week.
Oh, he's seeing the volume. Last 3 games, 49 rushing attempts, and he's even got 9 catches on 9 targets. So he's already.
Hey, he doesn't drop the ball for some reason.
Yeah. Hey, he got his first touchdown pass receiving too. So I lean Mason and Jacobs, and if you want to, I guess, I like get out of it, I'd guess go Mason and Hunt. But I think Jacobs, this is finally like his get right game because it's such an easy defense. I think the Packers go up, and they just want to get out of Jacksonville with a win.
We got Dobbins, Hunt, Irving, Nick Chubb. Start one, flex one. This one's easy for me. Dobbins and Hunt.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Dobbins and Hunt.
All
That
right,
one was
next
easy.
one. Our weekly defensive question. I like this one. Zach Allen, Cameron Hayward, Trey Hendrickson. I got one here that pops off in my brain that's a no doubter, and that's Trey Hendrickson. You're going to start him. He's the Bengals' best pass rusher here, so I think that's
Trey and
locked
Zach.
in. I think Zach Allen's the other right call here. Mike, anything to add or not?
Trey Hendrickson and Zach Allen is what I'd be leaning. Just I'm going youth.
And we got another one here. Pratt from the Bengals, Patrick Queen from the Steelers, Owusu Koromoa from the Browns, and Dotson. I set myself up for failure because I'm honestly not sure who that is. Ike, you got any help here?
Nope. I'm just going
Kevin
to Owusu
Dotson.
Koromoa.
It's Kevin Dotson, I believe, and the answer is Owusu Koromoa.
Jordan usually says Patrick Queen, so that's where I'm going to lean on this one. I'm going to go.
I just
go
like
Patrick
Owusu.
Queen.
He's one of my favorite defenders.
He's a good player, man. Yeah, for sure. Who am I starting here? Myers, Kirk, or Bateman from Nathan? Mike, take it away here.
I don't want Myers against Trent McDuffie. Christian
or the
Kirk
Chiefs defense is just brutal. So
it's a tough matchup. You don't want to be starting really anybody against them. It's between Kirk and Bateman. I think Kirk is your safer play. With Zay Flowers.
No.
I think Bateman.
There's nothing safe about Kirk. I don't want to listen to you.
Shocker. With Zay Flowers expected to play, Kirk is safer. If Zay Flowers was out, Bateman is easily safer because it's between him and Mark Andrews as your wide receiver, target.
There's nothing safe about a guy who doesn't score very many points, man. That's my thought process.
I would go Bateman.
I think Bateman's the right answer here, and I still don't love it because it's sketchy.
Because at some point he's going to regress back to what he is.
I mean,
what do you got, Mike?
It's Bateman. He's seen 16 targets over the last 3 weeks to Kirk's 13. But I look at it as, like I said, Packers are going to be up, so they're going to have to throw the ball to where I think Christian Kirk can see an influx in targets this week. That's where I think he's a little bit safer. Where Bateman, if he isn't scoring that touchdown for you, he ain't safe.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. There's nothing safe about any of those guys. Like, yeah, I kind of said that, but
Jacoby might be the most guarded guy of all of them.
I feel like what I'm saying, though, is like between Bateman and Kirk, what's the safest is Kirk's game script, where Bateman's game script is not safe to be, hey, they need him in this game against the Browns.
I guess Kirk just doesn't score fantasy points. That's what worries me. I do get the game script. They should be down. I don't know.
That's really all it is. But I mean, like, realistically, the past 3 weeks, Bateman has been considerably safer.
One from Dion here. Trade question. Guy offered me Mayfield, Lamb, Puka for Goff, Higgins, St. Brown, and Chuba Hubbard. Do I do it? You're definitely downgrading in the quarterback position with Baker losing his guys here. You're getting rid of a banged up T. Higgins. You're getting Lamb and Puka.
I don't think I would do it because Chuba Hubbard here is not going to be what he has been once Jonathan Brooks comes back, which means you're basically trading for Goff, Higgins, and St. Brown. We know how the offense for the Lions works. It's run first. So, I mean, Goff is really a streaming quarterback at best right now.
You're reading it backwards. Dion would be getting Mayfield. He gets Mayfield, Lamb, and Puka.
Oh, I mean, if he's getting that, then yeah, I would do it. So
you're just really bad at quarterback now, though.
Well, yeah. The thing is you're not going to be able to sell Chuba for anything here soon. That's where I kind of like.
I think he's going to be fine all year. I think Jonathan Brooks will have a role, but
you don't think they're don't think they're just going to give him the role, do you, Mike? Because I think
it's going to take a bit.
I do think
when it comes playoff time, you might want Jonathan Brooks, but right now I still want Hubbard.
But the thing is when he is healthy, they're not going to give him the full workload, but that means they're also not giving Chuba the full workload either. They're going to be eating into each other's workload. And that's what I'm saying, where Chuba's just going to fall off a cliff at that point, I think, because this Panthers offense cannot support 2 running backs in the RB2 area.
Mm-hmm. Dion, for me, if you're okay taking the hit at quarterback, because you are taking a hit at quarterback, especially for the next 4 weeks without Mike Evans, 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it is, 5 after the bye. I don't know. I think you do it, but if you don't want to take that hit at quarterback, I get it, and just stay safe. Kind of depends on what your record is too here. But Yeah, that's where
And
I
if it's
lean.
one quarterback, you can easily pick up another guy.
Jamie, good to see you here. We got one from Boss Man here. Mike, who to start? Pick 2 wide receivers from this list. DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, DeAndre Hopkins, Debo Samuel, Devonta Smith. Tough one. Ike, go ahead.
DJ Moore for sure. Out of these options, I'd probably sit Terry McLaurin, and I'm either Devontae Smith or Debo right now, as long as Debo's healthy.
Yeah, it's first and last for me. It's DJ Moore and it's Devonta Smith. If like I said, it's all about Debo. If you get 100% clearance that he's 100% healthy, it's Debo Samuel.
Just
But
unfortunately, it's Sunday night, so
I mean, before kickoff is kind of what I'm saying, and that's what the timeline is if you can get that before the kickoff, which is unlikely, play it safe. Go Devontae. I'm just having flashbacks to that James Cook, on Monday night, like, oh, he practiced, he's gonna play. Nope, he's out. Ray Davis, go pick him up. So I don't want to, talk anybody into that, because I did talk a buddy into James Cook, and that failed. So I'd rather just play it safe and go Devontae Smith and DJ Moore.
Yeah, no, I think that's the absolute right call. I want no part of Terry McLaurin. I know Joe said he's not super scared. I know we got John here in the comments saying Terry has 0 games under 50 yards this season. He has confidence in him. I don't.
He's also had 0 games where Mariota has been the starting QB. So that's where
I don't think it's going to be Mariota. I think Jaden's playing too.
You think so?
I think he
Mike,
is.
You think Caleb Williams' taunt of sending those rubber duckies?
I don't know if that was real, but if it was, that's awesome. But I'm going to go with what Rappaport and Schefter both reported, and that was Jaden Daniels is trending into the direction to play. So I think that's going to happen.
It's silly to do that, but hey, I'm not the coach of the Commanders.
Yeah, Dan Quinn is.
It's not silly if the injury can't get worse, but from what Matt said this morning about it probably can get a little worse. Yeah,
rib injuries can always get worse. It's not going to just randomly just not like. If you get hit there, it's going to get worse. It's not going to just be like, fine.
We answered the first part of this question earlier, but we definitely didn't get to the second part. I don't know if he asked it or not, but we got Kittle or Njoku at tight end.
That's a
Kittle
good one.
dealing with Kittle banged up here.
Kittle is playing. I'm playing Kittle on National Tight End Day.
Sure, yeah. How about that?
I mean, Kittle, the thing is Njoku is a lot of hype right now. And rightfully so with Jameis Winston, but
man, with Jameis Winston, he's gonna get targeted up like wazoo.
But Kittle has actually been producing. That's what I'm getting at, is where Kittle is like, you play him, he's actually a top 3 tight end right now. I'm pretty sure, if I double check here.
We're getting actives and actives. Zay Flowers is active for the Ravens. Bucky Irving also active. Sure.
Wow! Did you know that there's only 2 tight ends with over 100 fantasy points in PPR that have scored 100 fantasy points this year? Brock Bowers and George Kittle.
Isn't Brock Bowers like significantly higher than everybody else?
No, Kittle and Bowers are. They're both at 101 and change, and then the next highest is Cole Kmet with 72.9.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
Like, so Kittle, that was my point. Is Kittle and Bowers are in a tier right now amongst themselves, so play Kittle.
Just 2 years ago, it was you can't draft rookie tight ends in fantasy football, and then the last 2 years there might be a rookie tight end finishing as the best tight end in fantasy football.
I mean, it helps when they trade.
Wild world, man.
I kind of figured this from Brock Bowers, not so much Laporta, because I knew Brock Bowers was a beast.
I have 0 shares of Brock Bowers, unfortunately.
I'm near to it, and I hate it.
I'm also regretting it 100%. I got 1 million shares of Dalton, no ceiling Kincaid, so you gotta love that. We got one for John here. I'm 5-2 against another 5-2 team for first place. First of all, good luck, man. That's sounds like a showdown Ike and I actually have today in our home league, both 6-1, battling for first place as well. He's got to start 2 or 3 guys: Jacoby Myers, Chuba Hubbard, Ramondre Stevenson, non-PPR. So I think that makes it pretty simple here. I think that's Chuba Hubbard and Mondre.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and plus I don't know about Myers still. He's banged up.
In standard leagues, John, you definitely lean the running backs because they have the highest chance for a touchdown and just the most yards possible because they can rush and catch. So it's the 2 running backs in this one, and good luck.
Yep.
Yeah, here's John again. I have Purdy and Jaden Daniels. He's starting Purdy this week. How do you guys feel about that with Purdy losing Brandon Ayuk? You guys comfortable doing that, or do you think Daniels is going to be fine? Do you think he's going to be running like he normally does, which seems like a little bit of a bad idea?
I would have to go Purdy, even though I'm not comfortable.
You're smart playing Purdy over Jaden Daniels, I think, this week. Just play it safe.
It still might not be pretty from Purdy. I'm not going to sit here and act like he's going to go off and have a great game, but definitely might not be Purdy, man. One from Kyle here. Mike, take us away. What do you got?
This one's fun. Pick 2. All right. Full point PPR. He needs at least a wide receiver, and then the flex can be whatever you want. He's got Nick Chubb, Romeo Doubs, Khalil Shakur, and Jalen McMillan. And I'm finding it really hard not to say McMillan in here.
I was going to say Doubs and McMillan.
I asked Joe in the pre-show, so I'll ask you two here. Mike, I think you already talked about it on the Friday show, but go ahead again. Who is the wide receiver you guys want out of this Tampa Bay wide receiver room?
You want to go first?
Can I say tight end?
No.
Oh.
That's the chalk play, Cade Otton.
Well, I like Cade Otton of all of them, but if I pick a wide receiver, I'm going McMillan.
Yeah, and like I said it on the Friday show, like their slot role is not just a slot role. Yes, they play in the slot, but they also play outside. They're moving that guy around constantly. I can't see Sterling Shepard moving outside in, and I can't see Trey Palmer moving outside in, but I can definitely see Trey McMillan playing that role here. So that's why I'm finding it really hard for me to sit McMillan in this case. Because of the weather in Seattle for the Buffalo game, I'm going to go Doubs and McMillan for this one because I feel like Shakir can be a little shaky with that weather.
Okay, I think Doubs is the lock, and I'm all right with that with the weather concern as well. I got a good one here from Jamie, too. We got Chris Olave or Najee Harris?
It'd be better if it was Derek Carr. It'd be way better.
But let's not forget, guys, we were a little bit higher on, I guess we were a little higher on Olave with Spencer Rattler talking about how he's just going to get the ball down and go. No Rashid Shaheed here now for the Saints. It's really just Chris Olave, Taysom Hill back in the lineup. So that makes it interesting, but I would still lean Najee here.
Same. Olave's been bad.
I just don't want to poo-poo the thought of Olave being in somebody's lineup because he's the clear-cut number one guy there. He's the alpha, especially with Rashid Shaheed gone.
They are playing the Chargers, which is the 10th toughest matchup for QBs, and Spencer Rattler's a rookie, and the second toughest matchup for wide receivers. So it's just not set up right for Olave this week.
That's my defense. That's right.
Mike, take this one away from Dame. Dame, good to see you, man.
Well, I know. Always appreciate the regulars that come on in. You guys are what keep the lights on. He's got Kyle Pitts or Kincaid.
That's not his name. That's not his name. It's Dalton No Ceiling Kincaid. That's what you can call him as, man. That's
you got a personal grudge against him, so you can call him.
I don't. I think he's fine. He just doesn't have a ceiling. Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts is the answer. That's probably a clean sweep. And then Dynasty PPR, he's got Laporta or Ferguson. I made my case on Friday's show that I would love to put Laporta in for these next 2 weeks with Jameson Williams out. There is a huge target difference from last year's first 6 games to this year's 6 games. 42 targets compared to 17 this year. And that was when Jameson Williams wasn't involved as much last year. So give me Laporta over Ferguson Dame. And that is, a little bit of hype here, just hoping he gets involved more. And then he needs a flex. He's got McMillan, Worthy, Dowdle, Ridley, or Algier. You can easily sit Ridley. Nobody wants anything to do with him.
No. I'm going to push back here, man. Saw 9 targets with Mason Rudolph last week.
Really? You're going to be the one person
I'm going to.
Go ahead.
Stop yelling at me.
No,
I'd rather play Xavier Worthy over Calvin Ridley right now.
He saw 9 targets last week. He saw 9 targets last week. Mason Rudolph is better than an injured Will Levis. The Gabe script is set up for perfection for Calvin Ridley. The Lions are favored by 11.5 points here, guys. On the road, I think. No, it's at home. Sorry, it's at home. So I'm gonna lean. I think Calvin Ridley's. They're going to today. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say I'm not starting Calvin Ridley out of good options, guys. You can't pretend that any of these options are good.
Right, yeah. I'm just saying I'd start Ridley over him.
I think
Why is
McMillan is.
Xavier Worthy at least has a chance to take a run to a touchdown. Ridley isn't doing anything.
I mean, let's be realistic. Your safest option here, you can disagree with me all you want, but your safest option is Dowdle. He's going to get the most amount of touches.
Delvin Cook is also active today. No chance am I starting Rico Dowdle.
Have you seen the last time? Have you seen the last time Dalvin Cook?
Have you seen the last time Zeke Elliott keeps getting 8 carries when he's completely washed, pal? It's the same thing. They're going to mix in all 3. No chance am I starting Rico Dowdle, even if he scores a touchdown.
It's probably actually McMillan.
Mike wants to agree with you. He can agree with you. I think it's
I'm between Dowdle and McMillan. I think Dowdle is your safer play, but if you played Kyron Williams and you're chasing points, go McMillan. I mean, if you really want to go out on the edge, I guess you can fall for Dylan's trap over here because that's what Ridley's game is right now, a trap game. He's got a great matchup. Mason Rudolph showed him 9 targets. All right, but it's Mason Rudolph. It's the Tennessee Titans. They don't want to throw the ball. All right, the Lions could just get up and do what they do best, run it down their throats, and they get 0 time of possession for the Tennessee Titans. So I feel like that's just a trap.
And you said Ridley got 9. McMillan got 8 at least, and same with, which is close to 9, obviously. And then Worthy got 8 too. So you just got to depend on who do you think is a bigger threat to score. And I think honestly, it's Worthy or McMillan. And if you think Mahomes is going to get his first quarterback or top 12, maybe Worthy will help it.
Maybe.
No, because he'll score on a run, actually. That's right. Not help Mahomes at all.
Pick 2, Robinson, Sutton, Scary Terry, Olave, Rogers, or Geno Smith, or Dearness Johnson. I'm assuming that's Bijan?
No, I think you're
right. He's in the American. Gary's got him in the other league. Oh, it is Wandale. Okay. You're right.
Yeah, because this one sounded like his team in our league.
I've stamped my flag on sitting Terry. I don't want anything to do with him. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It is what it is. But I am so far out on him, it's not even funny.
Get the QB out of the way, and I'm starting Geno Smith. Even with the rain, Geno Smith is still going to throw 30 passing attempts, I think. Because that's just the way that
Rodgers hasn't finished as QB1 in I only know how long.
Gets the Pats though, man.
Yeah, so
well, not have to do much this week.
Can you play both? No, you can't play both, right?
Your wide receivers, I think I lean
on this one. I think you're going Olave.
I do too.
You have to go a lot. Man, no, you have to go. I mean, as bad as it is, you have to go Terry and Olave because the 2 other options between Sutton and Robinson aren't good enough to bench Scary Terry.
If that's the home league, I think it is the home league. He's trailing too after Sam Darnold, after somebody else too who went up. Kyron. So
that's why I'm saying if you trail, you got to kind of take the ceiling. The ceiling would be Scary Terry and Olave.
I don't know if it's a ceiling play, man, against the Bears and Jalen Johnson.
What's Sutton's ceiling?
Who? Sutton?
What's
he can score a touchdown.
And he sees double-digit targets when the game script's good.
And the game script was good last week, and he saw 0. So,
with you trailing, Gary, I don't think Wandale's the right pick. I think you can X him out for me. I think Scary Terry is not the right pick for either.
I'll go Olave.
I told you. I told Gary earlier this week Olave scared me, but I'm going to go back a little bit on that, and I'm okay with Olave with these now, and knowing your fantasy lineup matchup stuff. So I'm going to go Olave.
Yeah, it's Olave and Terry for me. If you want to, go chase a little extra ceiling, like Dylan said, I think you can make an argument for Sutton's ceiling against the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
Dame said he needs 2 QBs in his 2 QB league. He's got Hurts, Mahomes, and CJ Stroud.
Hurts no matter what.
Why am I blanking Cincinnati? So yeah, I'd go Hurts here. I'm all right going Mahomes over Stroud. I'm okay going Mahomes over Stroud here after what we saw last week.
Sure, try it out.
He didn't blow up against the Colts earlier this season either. He was just fine. So I think go Mahomes, man, with that revenge that he's got on his mind here.
Still can't pull the trigger over these options. It's Hurts and CJ Stroud for me, Dame. Stroud, he does have splits with him. He doesn't play well against good defenses, and he doesn't play well on the road. Well, guess what? He's playing a bad defense in the Colts, and he's at home today. And Anthony Richardson can't sustain a drive, so they're going to have to lean on Jonathan Taylor to be able to sustain a drive, and it's easier to pass on the Texans than it is to run on the Texans. So I think it's CJ Stroud and Hurts for me. I get the appeal to play Mahomes. I get it, but I'm not sitting Mahomes for Stroud. I mean, sitting Stroud or Hurts for Mahomes yet.
Can we agree this Texas offense misses Nico Collins, man? Especially CJ Stroud.
And I did see an update that he is on the correct timetable for week 10 to come back.
All right, right on. I got one here from Impossible. I got Jaden Daniels. Should I go grab Bo Nix, Gino,
First
Wilson,
option.
Winston, May, Herbert?
First option. Go get Bo Nix.
I agree. And maybe even think, man, Drake May has back-to-back QB1 finishes. And he likes to throw. So I don't know.
Do you remember?
I'm going Gino. I'm going Gino. But if I see that way from Drake May like that, he's interesting.
I love the matchup for Bo Nix. Plus, he's getting it done on the ground. He's got a primo matchup against the Carolina Panthers, and he is QB 14 the past on the season so far. So, give me Bo Nix still. Although the other one that you could decide between is Gino because of the volume there.
Is he QB 14 total or points per game? Because they haven't had their bye week, man. So there's a big difference. There's a big difference there. So yeah,
19 fantasy points per game.
That's good.
Last three. Give you the last three.
What league are you looking at right now? He averages 19 fantasy points per game.
No, I said 14. I said 14.
I thought you said.
I thought you said 19.
No, I said 14.
I'm like, yeah, 19 seemed a little ridiculously high. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's QB 10 the last 3 weeks.
I'm gonna go Gino in the tough weather. Oh God, I guess Bo Nix. I hate saying that, but it's Bo Nix. I guess.
And the thing is that's funny you said 19 or misheard me say 19 because the last 3 games he has been averaging 19.3 points per game.
Gotcha. I mean, we like Javonte and we like him. It just feels weird, like in the quarterback and the running back from a bad offense. But I guess
you can run all over the Panthers.
One wide receiver, one flex, Zay Flowers, JSN, Michael Pittman, Christian Kirk, Ricky Pearsall, Chuba Hubbard, Chase Brown, Austin Eckler, Tyrone Tracy.
Zay Flowers officially active. Travis
give me Zay.
Is ruled out.
Give me Zay and give me who do the Panthers play, guys? We just talked about it and I'm drawing a blank.
I have it right here. Panthers play Broncos.
Yeah. Chase Brown.
One wide receiver, one flex. With the news of Flowers being active, I would rather start Flowers out of these options. JSN, you can make an argument with DK out. But
role doesn't change.
No, that's in Shane Waldron's offense. The role doesn't change.
I roll.
I think it's JSN and Flowers as your flex and wide receiver. You can make a case for Chuba, but that's a tough defense that you're going against in the Broncos.
I went Flowers, Chase Brown. Where are you going, Ike?
I would go Flowers. I wish it wasn't raining because I'd also do JSN, but I'll do Flowers and Chase Brown.
Good one here. Morning. I need help. Wide receiver, standard league, pick 2. Malik Neighbors, Devontae Adams, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Stephon Diggs. Appreciate your help and thumbs up. Appreciate the thumbs up, man. Everyone, hit that like button, please. Really do appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. But Ike, I'll let you take it away. What 2 are you picking here?
I would do.
I know my answer.
Devontae Adams and Reed. No, Diggs and Reed.
Nah, you suck. It's Devontae Adams and Reed for me. I think this is the week that they get Adams in the a touchdown here. And then Jaden Reed is the best wide receiver, between Dobbs and Reed with a great matchup against the Jaguars. It sucks sitting Malik Neighbors, but I do not trust Daniel Jones in primetime against the Steelers defense.
best matchup possible for outside receivers is the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's what makes Romeo Doubs so intriguing here for me.
You can't start Dobbs over Reed, and you can't start both of them together either.
I'm going to go Adams and Diggs. No, I'm going to go Adams and Reed. Don't love it.
Don't love it. Steve.
Yes.
Steve Garza, half-point PPR. He needs one flex here, guys. Chase Brown, Amari Cooper, and McMillan. Amari Cooper, if Cooper wasn't in here, it'd be a little bit more interesting between McMillan and Brown. But I think Amari Cooper getting worked in. He only saw, I believe it was like 38% of the snaps last week. That will increase. It's the weather that is the worry with that game, but I still think that Amari Cooper has the highest floor out of these three.
Ike, where are you going?
Amari Cooper.
All right. Gary says there needs to be a weather part of the show. I like that idea, man. I like that idea. Not a bad idea to break down every game, go through and see what we got. That's a $1 million idea, I think, man.
We need a weatherman, though. And everyone hates him.
What's up, Diego? Bench Marvin Harrison and go Pickens and Stevenson flex, or keep Harrison in the flex and Pickens and Stevenson. I think you keep Pickens and Marv. I think Stevenson's been dealing with injuries all year long. Offense is bad. Good matchup, though, against the Jets. But I still lean Marv. I still lean Pickens.
Marv and Pickens.
It is Marvin, and I am so hesitant on Pickens. But give it another week of practice. I feel like they can increase that catch percentage. So Pickens and Marv.
That's a good question. With Arthur's friend Cordero out, does that give Warren an extra touches to make it worth a budget play here? DFS is pretty much a DFS question. Mike, if you're sticking around, maybe pop this back up for the DFS guys a little later in the show. I think he might be okay, but he's not someone I'm running out to play. That's for sure. You guys got any thoughts on Warren?
He just hasn't looked great. Maybe I mentioned on Friday's show, maybe he's still dealing with the injury. I know Fantasy Data has this cool stat where it's fantasy points per 100 snaps. And last week, the pace for the game last week, Najee Harris played less snaps than Jaylen Warren, 48% to 51%. But Najee Harris had 49.1 points per 100 snaps compared to Jaylen Warren's 22.6, doubling it, which tells me that Jaylen Warren is not as efficient as Najee Harris. And we don't even see Najee Harris as an efficient running back right now. So that really worries me for Warren at the moment. At least until it seems he's healthier.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good call, Mike. Here from Nathan. This is the question earlier. Myers, Kirk, or Bateman? I think we all went Bateman here, even though I had to fight Mike about Christian Kirk, right?
With Zay Flowers being active, I'm going Kirk on this one.
Yeah. I don't know about you, man.
I get it.
Let you answer this for your buddy Mike, and you are the resident MHJ owner. Should he worry about Marvin Harrison Jr.?
I mean, everyone's worrying about Marvin Harrison Jr., John, including myself. Here's the thing. They got Tua against the Dolphins this week. If it wasn't Tua, I would be so worried to be starting Marvin Harrison Jr. this week. But because Tua's in the lineup, I do not see the Cardinals need to run the ball. They are a top 10 rushing team at the moment, which is wild because they drafted a wide receiver at number 4 overall, and they are just not using him. But I heard Fields Yates bring up, earlier in the season, everybody was like, hey, what's going on with Garrett Wilson? Why hasn't he been getting, involved in the offense? It's kind of like a squeaky wheel gets the oil here. And it's a great matchup. I think Dolphins defensive statistics are skewed because teams don't need to throw against them when they were playing without Tua. Hill's going to have a day. I think this Dolphins offense has a resurgence, and the Cardinals have no choice but to get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved.
All right, good breakdown there, man. From Jacob, Odunze or Cedric Tillman for a flex spot?
Ceiling is Odunze. Your safety play is Tillman, though, after seeing those 12 targets last week. If you're chasing points, Kyron Williams, Justin Jefferson, go Odunze. But if it's a pretty even matchup, you want to play it safe, go Tillman.
Would you go JSN or MHJ?
MHJ. I like that, though. JSN or MHJ. Say that 5 times fast.
No.
No, thank you.
I'm
Man,
gonna
if
go
you-
Marv here.
If you can somehow work both of them in there with DK out, John, I would try. But if you can't, it's Marvin Harrison in that one.
And then we got a radar team here from Jose. Caleb Williams, RB1 and 2. Brian Robinson, Josh Jacobs, wide receiver 1 and 2. DJ Bork, CD Lamb, David Njoku, Flex Dobbs, Shakir. Okay. And the bench is Dalvin Cook, McMillan, McConkey. Like those two, like those pieces there for sure. Rashad Bateman and Cole Kmet. For going off the Dave Portnoy pizza scale, I'm going to go here with a good old 7.8. What are you guys thinking here?
Probably 7. Caleb Williams as your quarterback isn't great right now.
I think you're a playoff team, Jose. Mike, do you agree there?
I think you're
Flex isn't great either.
With the way everybody's been performing on this team. You are a fringe playoff team. I think you just need to get CD Lamb going here. You're good. But like one thing I will say is if you're trying to make the playoffs, it doesn't hurt to get you some running back depth, because if you only got Brian Robinson and Josh Jacobs, and I don't see another running back here mentioned. Man, Dalvin Cook is the other running back here. You need more than just Dalvin Cook on that. That would be the one thing I would give you. It's a good team, but you can never go wrong with adding more running back depth.
Jose, I'd honestly see if you can get Shakir, sell a little bit, just sell him to try and get a little bit of running back depth if possible, because you have good wide receiver depth. You have Ladd McConkey, you have Bateman, you also have McMillan, who Mike is really high on. So I think if you can trade Shakir, I'd even be okay with selling high on Romeo Dobbs and see what you could get, because he's had back-to-back touchdown weeks. I like Dobbs the rest of the season, and I definitely like him this week. But yeah, maybe try to sell one of those guys for some RB depth. I think, Mike, you hit it right on the head with that. That's a good call, man. And I don't like you, so.
Dallas Goddard inactive, Tajay Spears inactive, Will Levis inactive, which means Mason Rudolph is the starter. That's all I got for now.
Kyle Duggar's inactive too, man. I got to pull him out of the IDP league now before I forget. So Mike, take it away here.
All right, Pig. Nice of you to join us. Full point PPR. Pick 1, Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, Rashad White, or Chase Brown. Man, that's a tough one. It's a tough matchup for the Tennessee Titans against the Lions, so I don't think I'm starting Pollard. It's between, here's how I look at it. Rashad White's your safe play. He's going to get you 15 touches easily. How many yards he gets with those 15 touches is unknown. Chase Brown could probably get only 10 touches in this game, but get more yards than Rashad White. So your safe play is plug in Rashad White. Yeah, your safe play is plug in Rashad White, but Chase Brown is on the up and up, and he would be your ceiling play in this one, Pig, for the running backs. How about you, Dylan?
I don't think the right answer is Tony Pollard in this matchup. I think you said about the 15 carries. I think that was about Pollard. So you're right on that. White. I don't think he produces much. I kind of want to go Chase Brown here. I haven't been on the bandwagon yet, and it hurts me a little bit because I'm an Illini guy, obviously. But he's produced in the limited work, and he's starting to take over for Zach Moss. Mondre does have a good matchup. It's just a matter of how much that game script, how close that game stays. For me, I'm going to lean Chase Brown. No, I'm not. I'm going to, yeah, I am. That's where I'm going to go.
I'm going White and Geno.
White and Geno's the QB for me as well.
No thought to Rodgers here at all, guys, with a second week with Devontae Adams there. Nope. You still got Garrett Wilson. Geno's dealing with the weather that we've talked about.
It's the yards. Rodgers has never been a yards guy. He's going to get you maybe 3 touchdowns with 200 yards, and that's like his ceiling. Where Geno could probably get you 350 yards, 1 tutty. He got 2 touchdowns finally last week, so I just think Geno's safer.
All right, you're welcome, Diego. Jacob, you betcha, man. Good luck today in your matchups. We appreciate all the questions, guys. We still got a couple here to go before we sign off and leave it to the DFS guys here at 3 minutes. So, Mike, take it away here. Pull us up what we got.
Yeah, no problem. This one actually goes back to the rate the team question. He says he thinks he can get DeAndre Swift for Khalil Shakir. Why you say no?
No,
actually don't
he's
mind
asking us. He's asking us if we think if we think he could get that. I don't think you could get it. You can try to send it.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Worth trying.
I think a more fair offer to the other guy would be a Romeo Doubs trade for DeAndre Swift if he needs wide receiver help there. But yeah, I don't mind taking a shot on Swift. The run game and the Bears have figured it out the past few weeks. So
yeah, but Swift's a decent. That's the range you want to kind of target. Get like a back end RB2, to just add in some depth. Along the playoff push. All right,
Yep.
And then we got Stroud or Caleb Williams this week. Man,
I'm still gonna lead Stroud. I'm still gonna lead Stroud here. Caleb is it's still kind of a roller coaster a bit.
I'm going Stroud.
And the Bears aren't going to score the first quarter. The Bears, did you see this? The Bears average 1.5 points in the first quarter. So that probably means they've scored because they probably only scored 1 field goal in the first quarter out of 6 games is what it feels like to me. That's probably the only way, right?
Safety. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go Stroud.
Fantastic.
I think that's still the 1.5 points. 1.5 points in the first quarter. The Bears average is outstanding, astonishing stat.
Yeah, I'm going Stroud as well on this one, Mike. And then he's got a possible flex play here as well. He's got Rashad Bateman, Jerry Jeudy, Ramondre Stevenson. I am not sure if this is PPR, Mike. Please let us know. But if we're gonna work off PPR here, and
Ramondre,
your safe play is Ramondre here. But if you're down, points, like I said from Thursday night, go Bateman. He offers the ceiling here for you.
Mm-hmm. And then Jose, if you missed it, we did mention it. I think you could try a Romeo Doubs for DeAndre Swift swap. Try to sell high on him there.
You could even try maybe like 2 wide receivers for him, if the guy's desperate.
Because you had wide receiver depth, yeah.
Yeah, might as well throw in a Ladd, McConkey, or McMillan.
I was just gonna say
I would rather you throw in McMillan than Ladd, but yeah.
I would prefer Ladd than McMillan, but that's just me personally.
You would prefer to throw in Ladd, or you'd want to keep Ladd? I
don't want to keep Ladd.
I'd rather acquire Ladd if I was the guy. Like if I had Swift, I'd rather have Ladd.
Like I'd be this way. You could keep Romeo Doubs. I'd be trying like Khalil Shakir and Ladd McConkey for like Swift maybe.
Sure. And then real quick before you get us out of here, Mike, going back to Dion's trade question a while ago, he was getting Lamb and taking the downgrade at quarterback with Baker. He said his other quarterback is Sam Darnold, so I think you should do that.
Get the Koopa or Puka and Lamb.
And Lamb side. Yeah. Agreed.
And Mike did say it was PPR for this one. Glad we worked off it.
Ramondre,
safe plays Ramondre, but if you're chasing points, put Bateman in there. All right, guys. Looks like we have gotten through all the questions. Pat yourself on the back. We made it through another day on the Sunday social. Before we head on out, I just want to thank you guys for joining me. This is always the best part of the week. But Mike, before we head on out, let everybody know what you got going on and where they can find you at.
Yeah, Mike, stop putting your name as Mike Bonni on the thing.
Yeah,
your name is Mike.
It's just how it shows up. Mondays is when my injury impact drops. I'll be here next Friday. So,
nice news to me. But guys, you can catch me too on the Friday show as well. And guys, join the Discord and come check us out in the NBA DFS Discord. I'm also doing the NBA DFS cheat sheet daily. We cashed yesterday. I saw one of our users hit on 4.5 times there. So good day in the DFS realm yesterday for NBA. So make sure to come check that out and catch me on the Friday show and this show every single week. So, all right, guys, I'm out. See ya.
See ya.
Take care. Good luck in your matchup today. I don't know who's going to win, but good luck. All right, guys. Now it's time for the part of the show where it's time to make a quick buck. And we got two guys here that are easily, if you get into the Discord, pick their brains, you're going to win back your subscription probably within the first week. And it's looking like, as I'm about to bring them in, we got a special guest, Keith's dog and Detroit Beastie. What's the name here?
Hello.
What's up? What's up, Nico? I mean, it just makes me think of Nico Collins, getting the, okay that he's going to be back week 10. I love that. It's
From your words to God's ears, hopefully. So
hopefully, but I'm going to get out of your hair. So good luck and have fun. Adios.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's 2 minutes after 12. And just when I think I had it, I don't think it was an original idea, but I'm like, every time it's tossed to us and we do like a crossover, or we chat, just the two of us, I said, you know what? This afternoon might be the first time Beastie has ever shown her face on a live broadcast, because the chair that I'm sitting in right now it's in the little office in the basement. It's dark. It's quiet. For the last maybe 4 to 5 days, she's been sleeping on the chair I'm sitting in. I put this really thick Red Wings, blanket down, and she's been sleeping on it. And every 15 to 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes before noon, before we go live, I'm a professional at least, and I make sure the audio is working and the lighting is beautiful. And she was still sitting here, just looking around, but not going to move the camera. I'd have to detach it to be like some weird real world stuff. But I put the Red Wings towel over here, and she snuck in, but I don't know that the door behind me is open this much. So I think she split and she's gone. So
cats do what they want to do, man. That's what's great about cats.
They do. So
they ain't worried
Keith,
about your feelings.
Happy Sunday. It's week 8. I want to thank you for filling in. Or you were here anyways. It's Dave that I have to thank. So really, that's not that important to thank Dave. But thanks for picking up the slack, I should say, for last week. I needed a bye week.
We definitely missed you though, man, for sure.
I needed to take a few days off and in peace, and I just I split, and it was fantastic. And I appreciate you and Dave and Joe and everybody else here, where it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to get bent over and slapped in the face or whipped on my back if I want to take hey, I can't. There's Sunday afternoon slate. I can't do it. I'm busy, and Dave always says, and I'm not sure if I feels like something I would say, but Dave and I are so weird connected, but we're so connected but different. It's strange. Real life will always trump no political affiliation intended. That's the most important thing. So Keith, when we look at this slate, as I always do, what's your first overall gut reaction? And I know you've been you're like the James Brown of DFS, the hardest working man in DFS or sports betting. Every 2 seconds I'm seeing your face on this show, on that show, or you got your own thing going here at Fantasy Six Pack. So briefly, what's your first overall reaction to the slate here?
There is more value plays this year than I can ever remember, especially for cash. Like it's one thing for MME, you can always convince or make an argument for a guy being a real value play at MME. But I mean, you look at just this slate. If you want to get, really frisky, obviously this is more MME, but you got Jameis at 5,200, for Cleveland. I love his pass catching options. Tillman, at 3,300 feels like a steal. You got obviously, Njoku in that game. I feel like Denver versus Carolina is just a whole ton of guys that are way underpriced, whether it be Nicks, Williams, pick one of the receivers. Like they're all to me underpriced. And then Miami, because of the fact that, I don't know if they just didn't expect Tua to come back or what, but like Tyreek being 7K, A-Chain 6,200, and what these guys have done, and I'll get into like the numbers when we go position by position, but what they've done with Tua, it's just like these are crazy values. And then, oh, by the way, you got Cade Otton for Tampa at 3,300, which that's one of the, or 3,500. I cannot for the life of me. Like I know that it's some kind of formula of how they come up with these numbers or these prices, that it's how much they were owned and, projections and all that stuff. The Otton one makes no sense to me because he was already thriving. And we knew that, like Godwin and Evans were out after their game Monday. And yet he is like one of the lower priced tight ends, which I don't get that. Like, I just like, I would love to understand the explanation of how did you come up with this price when it's not like my Atlanta defense is just like stoppable force.
Yeah, you're correct. That was the home run kind of in the first sentence of your comment here. The value is unbelievable, and that makes me happy. That makes me smile, right? Because the bottom of the barrel, I've hitched my wagon, or I've made my whole mystique about those cheap DFS plays, and we'll go from there. Before we get into like the meat of the broadcast, we're going to talk about quarterbacks, obviously, wide receivers, tight ends. Kate Otten is unbelievable, as you said. Will Dissly's on my radar as well. Make sure you get to the website. Dylan said it not in passing, but he said it towards the tail end of their broadcast here. Get to the website at fantasysixpack.net. When you get there, look around, see what's right for you. Never, hawking, products that I don't stand by. Right. Everything here at the website is fantastic. And again, week 8 has started already. The crux of it is around 52 minutes away. So in dynasty formats, redraft and seasonal formats, more than likely, either if you're not completely out of it, 1 or 2 wins, probably out of it, but you're going to have to make a move and go on a run here pretty soon. So hit the website, fantasysixpack.net. Look at the rankings. Anybody that's watching this is smart enough to put their own trade together, and why not use the award-winning rankings here at the website? And also, finally, Joe sent me some swag. He sent me a nice t-shirt.
Hey.
Why aren't you wearing it? But another thing, which was fantastic, fantasy 6-pack socks. Check out my 6-pack. So I'm not going to give these away. These are mine, but you can hit the website and buy just about everything you want. If they sell these soft fantasy 6-pack socks, what are the chances they sell male and female underwear as well? I mean, that's fantastic. So maybe
Nico liked the socks, man. You got him up when you showed those socks. I got him fired up.
He's going to chew on them probably. And,
that's what he's thinking. He's like, that'd be a good trade.
These socks are probably longer than his butt, like from his neck to his butt, minus the head, minus the tail. This is probably as big as he is. They
look like nice quality socks, though.
Yeah,
I do like the white and black.
They're very soft, and so is the t-shirt. The t-shirt brand, I've seen other websites and other services use that same brand of t-shirts, and it's super soft. So, Joe, thank you. If you want to be like us, I don't know why you would want to be like me, but hey, hit the website, fantasysixpack.net. The Discord is there, and Dylan said it best. He's tackling NBA DFS. And Keith, you can back me up or say I'm a dummy for saying this, but I've always found in my 10, 12 plus years playing DFS, NBA DFS has always been the most profitable for me. And I've seen other people start to talk that way. It's just not interesting to me anymore. And that's the problem. NBA DFS is where I learned all the tricks and trades that I use with NHL DFS and NFL and baseball DFS. I've honed my skills using NBA DFS. So if you want to get in on that, hit the website. The Discord is there. I say in the single game slate videos, we've done this dance a bunch of times. His or her matching underwear. Fantastic. What if it's me? Keith could get underwear for him and
Nico.
Nico.
I want underwear for me and Nico. That's what I
was going to say a diaper, but dogs will wear a diaper when they're like kind of about to check out. And Nico looks like he's happy and healthy. So
he's offended by that. He said, "I'm just going to pee all over the floor when I reach that age, and you guys can deal with it."
What does it hurt? What does it hurt me? You're the one living there. You're gonna have to deal with
you goes, I gotta leave you something to remember me by.
Yeah.
I do want to say real quick on the NBA, like Dylan's doing a great job, and that is, I agree with you. It's very profitable. It's also, in my opinion, the hardest. And I have over the years kind of learned to do smaller slates. Like, and if you follow a team, it's great to, like, for me, obviously I watch all the Hawks games, right? Being from Atlanta. So I'll do anytime there's a 3-4 game slate with the Hawks, that's when I do it. Cause I automatically know like what the Hawks struggle against, what they're good at, et cetera. And that just kind of gives you a leg up. But NBA is a lot of fun as well. All of them are. I mean, that's what's great about DFS.
The one thing that sets NBA DFS, aside from every other one, is the money line. The cash line is always moving.
Yep.
Years ago, 150 points on an NBA lineup was like, holy smokes. Then it moved to 250.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can get 275 in that cash now. Sometimes and
you're rolling. Yeah. It's almost, Keith. It's almost double that now. 300. I mean, when I was still dipping my toe in there, if you could score 300 or more, more than likely 310 was like the winning GPP. Now 400 is the lowest you can get before you're going to win anything substantial. So I don't think they changed the settings. They had to have if you're.
It's just the pace of the game has changed so much. There's so many more possessions per one.
I wouldn't be shocked if this year it's like 500 is the the low line for that. So let's talk about football. That's why we're here. I could BS and talk nonsense the entire time. But while we're on the subject of BS, everything is fantastic. It's fall on this side of the earth here in Michigan. The World Series is rolling. There were 2 games in. The Dodgers are up 2-0. It's just been a fun series so far, regardless of who wins and loses. It's just been a lot of drama and home runs, and Judge he looks toast, and it is what it is. I have no dog in that race, but the current events, I need to separate myself from current events to DFS. When we look at this slate today, week 8 already, it's like we went to bed and boom, there was week 1. We're all, jamming and this is fantastic. And boom, it's already week 8. There's a few plays that stand out to me big time. And I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but bottom of the barrel was done, like Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, and it was published Thursday evening. And since then, a lot has come out just absolutely smashing some of the plays I said, which would probably turn things into cash games, right? Like Denver, Bo Nix, Javonte. I can't see, I couldn't suppress all the Bo Nix love if I wanted to. And shoot, Bo Nix was in week 1, week 2, and he's been fantastic. And they're playing Carolina. And it seems like you and I, Keith, no matter how we get there, we don't do anything ahead of time. No matter what we do or how we get there, we're always stacking against Carolina. And again, that could be a cash game, incentive, given how bad they are against everything. Dead last against running backs, 22nd against quarterbacks, wide receivers. They're 21st. I mean, there's a lot to like about Denver. But when we look at the quarterback position, Keith, where are you headed? What's a few quarterback plays that you're all in on? I have a shocking one based on the DVP, but go ahead, see if we match.
I have a very, very small QB slate this week. And I mean, to be honest, in cash, me and Dave Eddy kind of spoke about this offline. It's hard not to play Bo Nix. He's 5,600. He scored 19.5 points or more in 3 of 5. Just for reference, Patrick Mahomes has not cracked that number since week 12 of last season. So it's not like it's that easy to do. And he just raises every week like his floor because his rushing continues to get more and more. And I talk about this every week on the show, how QBs, I want the rushing upside. Like, to me, it's just you're playing with fire and cash when you're relying on somebody who's totally living off of, throwing the football. Jordan Love has been the one exception so far. But to his point, 136 yards on the ground the last 2 weeks for Bo Nix. And what I like, 6.2 points per game with his legs. We're now 7 games in, so that's a significant sample size. Averages nearly 7 carries per game, almost 2 in the red zone. And the big thing is his passing's getting better too. Like, this is a great matchup, but we all laughed when he had 4.4 yards per attempt the first 4 weeks, which is one of the lowest in a long time. It's up to almost 7 the last 3, which I know that's not like a huge number, but that's a big improvement for what he was early in the year. And then to your point, Carolina's defense, the number one takeaway I have through 7 weeks is I'm not going to doubt anybody or knock anybody if they say I want to play a running back versus Carolina, wide receiver, whatever you want to play versus Carolina, probably going to work out okay. I do want to mention 2 other guys. Lamar, 8K at Cleveland. I don't know what to say at Lamar at this point. He's playing football like Michael Vick on the video game Madden 04. Like, he's just unstoppable. 11th in rushing yards, which is insane when you think about it. Especially he's got Derrick Henry, and the dude's still 11th in rushing yards. But, oh, by the way, he's thrown 15 passing touchdowns as well. And he's doing this top 5 passing yards, 2nd in passing touchdowns. He's thrown the 14th most attempts. So he's doing it with not a lot of volume. And to me, what's really impressive is behind the 32nd best protection rate among QB. So Lamar is just like, it doesn't matter what happens, he's going to ball. And he just, during this winning streak, remember they lost the first 2 games, he only scored 2 touchdowns. Since then, 15 touchdowns in the 5-game winning streak. And he's averaging almost 30 points per game during it. They are, he's another guy, a ton of rushing, 8.2 points per game just with his legs. And I think that Cleveland and Winston's going to do enough with Baltimore missing another corner. They already have issues with the pass. I think Cleveland's going to do enough to stay in it, and they're good enough versus the run where I don't think you see this like monster Derrick Henry game where it limits Lamar. But even if it does, he scored 22 points or more in 5 of 6. He scored at least 17 in every game. So that's like the worst you're going to get, which I know that's all, you don't want 17 points at 8K, but it's not going to kill you. And the other guy I do want to mention is Caleb Williams. And I feel so much better about this now, hearing that it looks like Jaden Daniels is going to play. He's 6K at Washington. Another one of these guys who, awful start. People were mocking him as being the number 1 pick. Since then, 22.75 points per game on DK, his last 4, 266 yards per game, 9 passing touchdowns. So really starting to throw it. And then again, not to sound like a broken record, but his rushing upside is why I like him. It raises his floor. He's got 164 yards on the ground in his last 5. He's another one like Nix that has done a lot in the last couple, 90 rushing yards his last 2. They are designing plays for him in the run now, which is obviously a big deal. And then Washington, I know they're 19th on DK, which that's not, that green area that we love, the nice cozy blanket, but they've already played Deshaun Watson and Andy Dalton. So when you played those 2 passing offenses and 2 QBs and you're still 19th, kind of near the bottom, you're not that good. This is a Washington secondary, 7th most passing yards. They've allowed the 5th most passing touchdowns. You can get at them. Those are the 3 QBs that basically I'm using this week in cash.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, list of quarterbacks here. This week seems like it seems too easy in terms of matchup and salaries and building lineups. And I've always hated that. It shouldn't, everything that we do here, it shouldn't be building and lineups and things like that shouldn't be this easy. It should be like tumultuous and arduous and oh my god, it's stressing me out, it's pissing me off. Like the more uncomfortable we are, the higher propensity to win in my book. Maybe I'm just, I've just been harmed over the years, and I like that. I mean, I've always done well feeling uncomfortable in any facet of my life. And when it comes to DFS, the worst off I feel, the better I do. I mean, so that's a DFS 101. I mean, that's some like elementary school stuff, when it comes to DFS, the worse, the harder it is to build, the more you're going to win. I mean, there's nothing promised. So I say that to say this: Drake May, the New England Patriots rookie quarterback, is on my radar. He's actually not on my radar. He's in play this week, and you're going to say, well, that's bad news because he's playing against the Jets. They've always hated each other. These 2 teams are in the same division. New England is just dominated. All that is, it's nonsense. I'm not here to give a history lesson. It's been, when you go on Twitter and you're like, the Lions won, and everybody says, well, they haven't won anything in 30 years. But it's like, I know the history lesson. How does that help your point? When you look at Drake May, the Jets 4th overall against opposing quarterbacks, it's a tough task. 7-1 on FanDuel, 5-5 on DK. Through the first 2 weeks as the Patriots starter, he has looked the part as a high draft pick, as a quarterback they can build around. But in terms of this week, he's completed 65.7% of his passes, and his touchdown to interception ratio 5-2. He's cut his turnovers down, and he's added more rushing yards, 8 carries for around 56 yards the last 2 weeks. So as much as we try to discredit that, and he raised his floor up just a little bit, and in DFS formats, that's fantastic. When you look against this matchup that he's playing, the Jets are only allowing 6.6 yards per attempt, only 6 passing touchdowns they've given up. Granted, we're in week 8, and if you throw in a bye week, that's 1 passing touchdown a game. The Jets rank 5th with 21 sacks, and Hassan Reddick looks to be back, and he's going to, hopefully not get things done. But I like the idea.
He's not going to play a lot, though. I don't think you got to worry about him being on the field a ton.
I like the challenge of playing Drake May when everybody's going, that's a bad matchup. I mean, of course, I'm going to have lineups with everybody you just mentioned, Bo Nix, Jameis Winston, all the cheap guys in great matchups that should smash. But there's always going to be a player or two, in this case, a quarterback or two, in what looks like a bad matchup who's going to be sneakily good. And I think that's Drake May this week against the New York Jets, against the New York Jets DST. When we look, there's one more guy, and he's kind of on the higher end. I started it last week where I just hit the reset button on bottom of the barrel. I was getting too free with who I was mentioning, and the prices always mattered, but I was getting maybe the high sevens or even like $8,000. That's not the true essence of bottom of the barrel. But I thought I could take I could. It's the article I read. I can do as I please. But when we look at one more quarterback I want in on, and it stinks because I've always don't dislike the Cowboys. I dislike their fans. But Dak Prescott, we got to, shake that tree and see what comes out. I mean, Dallas is playing in San Francisco. I'd like to think that San Francisco is going to just absolutely, smash them. And that's okay, because that means Dak is going to be on the field. Granted, he's probably going to throw, 2 interceptions, but I think he gets to 280 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. If he's able to get to that third touchdown, that's what we're talking. And this is another one. It's on paper, it's kind of a bad look because, as I said, San Francisco 14th overall against opposing quarterbacks, but I'm willingly jumping into that vat of glass. I want to be uncomfortable and I want to be, sick when I'm entering my lineups. But when you look at Dak Prescott, he had the worst week of the season last time out. He completed barely 50% of his passes. I think that's fantastic for this week. So the worst guys were last week. The more I like them this week. And the 49ers defense they've been mediocre, to say the least, and they're only at San Francisco's allowing 205 passing yards a game, 16th in the NFL. They've yielded 8 touchdown passes this season, which is tied for 11th. I mean, the door is open just a little bit for Dak to just, boot it and smash this in. Does it make sense now? No, but can I spin it to our advantage? Absolutely. I can do it. I can do that with just about anything. I did have Marcus Mariota written down, but I was looking as you were talking. Jaden Daniels looks like he's going to play. Yeah. And that's people call football players and young players, they're soldiers or they're so tough. I mean, but it is relative in this case. I mean, busted ribs is so painful. It hurts, and there's not much you can do about it.
Risky to me is the big thing. Like, you got to control the number 2 seed, and if he gets hurt,
you're toast.
To me, the Bears are a good defense. I would have waited, but that's why I'm not a GM. So
and Mariota looked fantastic in little drips and drabs last week. Chicago 2nd overall against opposing quarterbacks. But hey, what if there's a chance here where God forbid Jaden Daniels gets in and he throws 2 touchdowns, or I don't know how. I don't think the rushing.
He's the real deal. It's just I wonder how much of this is he wants to have that matchup with Caleb, right? The 1-2,
And it's a fantastic storyline, but the ego, this is the point where, like you said, the GM and the head coach, they have to sit this kid down and go, you are the future of this organization. You're the future, one of the futures at quarterback for this team. You need to chill out. We get your.
So Joe's saying, I know he's a Washington fan, that I guess the injury can't get worse. It's a pain tolerance. And we know Daniels is a gamer, but I worry. I'm such a big fan of him. I don't want him to get hurt, any worse than it is.
Me too. And God forbid I'm sure it's just going to be wrapped in Kevlar or wearing a bulletproof vest or whatever he is. But God forbid the kid gets tackled or something and the rib, cranks up and pokes his lung or something crazy. That would suck. But I have a feeling it's one of those things where, the $1 million lineup is going to have something like Marcus Mariota in as their quarterback. After the first quarter, the pain tolerance is too much and he goes out, and Mariota goes nuts after, Jaden has softened up the defense.
How do you feel about Winston? Because he's 5,200. That's a game where Ravens are going to be up. Like, he's chucking. Like, do you think that's intriguing to you, or?
Yes and no, because I like the idea of an over, right? The total over, because I think Cleveland will be able to get a few things done as well on offense. So sure, absolutely. That's another Denver, Carolina, as you mentioned in the beginning. And then, Baltimore and Cleveland, everything lines up for both of those games. And specifically Baltimore and Cleveland, when you look at Baltimore's, DVP, it stinks for a few things. And then even Cleveland's DVPs, like they're 28th against wide receivers. So there's a lot to be done in both games, along with Jacksonville, Green Bay, which I'll touch on when we get to running backs and wide receivers. So again, we could sit here. It's almost 12:30. So we're like probably 33 minutes before the 1 p.m. lock. We've talked, and it's just poof, gone by in the blink of an eye. There are so many seemingly slam dunk plays that it's freaking me out. And that's why I'm willingly, going to enter lineups that on paper have no chance with Drake May, just to see what we get.
Of chalk this week for sure. Like,
a lot of
it's gonna be hard for people to stay away from the chalk. Yeah.
And that's okay. Well, we will navigate this thing. When we look at running backs, where are you going? And before you say it, I just first, because it's highlighted in my notes, he was highlighted in bottom of the barrel. Javonte Williams, it looks to be, very highly owned, but in good favor, good standing. Carolina's 32nd overall against opposing running backs. $6,000 on FanDuel, and if my notes are correct, he's $6,000 on DK as well. Javonte should have a good game, or get a ton of carries and looks, but it's one of those things where he'll get 10 carries and then boom, all of a sudden it's Jaleel McLaughlin and we're all in the toilet.
I felt a little better though after last week, right? Because the Saints game, they were up pretty comfortably, and he got that second touchdown late. And I think Denver knows that, with all these young pieces, they're just wanting to get that offense rolling so their young QB can feel better. But I'm 100% with you. I'll start there just because he's definitely somebody that I think in cash, you almost have to play him, because to me, there's only 5 backs this week I'm playing in cash, just 5. He's the cheapest. That's always a big deal, right? Like when it's a guy that's the lowest guy you can get in the lineup that you feel that comfortable with. The only thing I'll add to it, because you basically said everything I wanted to say, is Carolina also really bad versus running backs in the pass. They give up basically 4 per game to the opposing running backs. Williams, since week 2, 27 targets, 22 receptions, 164 yards. So I feel like his floor is really good, even if he doesn't score a touchdown, because at worst, he's going to have like 3-4 receptions, which is that's a great thing on DK, particularly.
No doubt.
Again, the backs, it's just insane. Like, I ended up not going with Walker, who I will just include that by all means, go for it. Like, I mean, he's at 7,800. The reason I didn't was Joe Mixon's 100 cheaper. He's 7,700 versus Indy. 3 games is he's played 3 full games, 5 touchdowns in them, 100 yards or more in each one of them, 29.4 points or more in each of them. And what was crazy is up until this week, no ownership like this. And it's still not absurd. I think he's at 14% projected ownership this week. And this is a Colts D, second most rushing yards allowed in the NFL. Only 10 teams allow more yards per carry. And I just think we've seen Stroud really struggle without Nico Collins, right? And we're getting close to getting Nico back. They're going to lean on Mixon and even Damian Pierce in this game to basically try to get this must-needed divisional win. And then hopefully, right, in a week or two after they're going to have Nico, and then they're going to be just absolutely rolling again. And it's just pick your poison, what you want to beat. Breece Hall, the ownership is tough to swallow. Don't get me wrong. It's projected at over 37%. But 7,300 at New England. He is another one of these guys I was talking about that just his pricing seems off this week. Since Robert Saleh was fired, we were complaining, right? Was Braylon Allen stealing his carries, which he was. 30 rush attempts, 151 yards and a touchdown. That would be good enough to feel good about Breece Hall versus New England. But oh, by the way, in the same span, 11 receptions for 159 yards. That's right. The dude has over 300 yards in the 2 games. Since Saleh's gone, 54 points scored, at least 24 in each of them. And this Patriots run defense, I had to go back and look. It is so bad. The last 4, right? And now, granted, they played San Francisco, really good rush offense, but they've also played like Jacksonville and Miami in this span. They've given up 649 yards on the ground in just their last 4. 7 rushing touchdowns, and running backs are averaging 5.54 yards per carry. I mean, it is just easy pickings. And again, it was so bad last week. The Jacksonville Jaguars ran it 19 consecutive plays. I can't ever remember a team doing that. I wish they said it was the first time in like 5-6 years. I want to know exactly when it was. And then there's 2 other guys that I really like that are both very manageable to get into your lineups. Kareem Hunt, 6,300 at Vegas. It's just the volume and the opportunities continue to go up for Kareem, and an offense that just doesn't do a lot, right? Like, Mahomes is winning games, obviously, but he's not flinging it. He went from playing 14 carries, playing 40% of the snaps in his first game, to the last 2 seeing 52 touches, and he's playing basically 80% of the Chiefs thing. The big thing for me, 11 red zone touches the last 2 weeks, 7 last week. So it's ramped up each week. He saw 2 the first week, 4 the second, 7 the third. He scored 41 points in that span, 18.5 or more. And again, he's got 200 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns just in the last 2 weeks. He's a great play. And then Devon Achane, 6,200 versus Arizona. I actually feel a little bit better than I do Tyreek Hill. We'll talk about Tyreek at receiver, but he's played 7 games with Tua as starter. And I want to thank Fantasy Points for pointing this out. He's had 10 rush attempts in 7 games with Tua starting, 26.8 points per game in those games. That would be the 10th best fantasy season of all time by a running back in points per game. And you might be worried, well, what happens if Hill and all those guys go off? Okay, fair. But in week 1, Hill and Waddle, both over 100 yards. Achane still caught 7 passes for 70 yards, plus whatever he does in the rushing. Achane to me is a smash play. Like, to me, it's Achane, Breece Hall, and Williams in most of my lineups. Honestly, I'm playing all 3 of them because they're only about, just under 20K.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And again, this is perfect. You're able to, mention the guys that are just out of the proverbial price range for bottom of the barrel. And when I look at this one, I'm 100% sure I did in the Discord, in the DFS channel, in the Discord, which is it's a premium channel. Not everything is, you got to pay money for everything. Ed Fantasy Six Pack. You can join the Discord, and look around. Some of the channels are just free and open. Tag me, tag Keith. I know I can only speak for I can only speak for Keith. I can't speak for me, which is the opposite of what you're supposed to say in that statement. I know Keith gets back to every message. I do my best when I can. When you look at the running backs this week, it went so nuts with the ownership, not ownership percentage, but DVP was so wonderful and the price tags were matched up. It was magical. I said in the Discord, I'm going to focus when it comes to the running backs this week on what I think are going to be a lot of garbage time, points, right? And again, you can think of DFS a million different ways. You can use optimizers, ownership percentages. You can listen to a dummy like me or a smart guy like Keith, but there's something to that. I've had that thought several times in my DFS playing career. And I don't remember what the percentages of it being successful, but I'm going to start. This is whacked out. My first thought here would be Craig Reynolds in Detroit because he's so cheap. And granted, this is like major GPP. We're talking like the Millie Maker or, the $1 single entry out of, 60,000 people that play in the contest. Because Craig Reynolds, there's nothing good about him in terms of work baked in, none of that. But the Detroit Lions are hosting the Tennessee Titans, and Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback. I mean, everything I've read, and again, not coming from a place of homerism, it's just like a smart way to think about it. David Montgomery banged up a little bit at the start of last week, and so Gibbs just ran wild. And it's either or, and sometimes both of them really go off in the same game. But the Tennessee Titans with Mason Rudolph as their starting quarterback, and they're 0-6. The Lions haven't beat Tennessee their last 6 starts. This is a new look team, and they're in Detroit, and it's going to be absolutely nuts. Craig Reynolds is going to get some run here in the second half. probably in the fourth quarter, almost assured of that. And he's 4-2 on FanDuel, $4,000 on DK, double-digit targets and touches. I can't project that, but it could be a thing. And if he finds the end zone, that would be fantastic, given how cheap he is. And that young kid Vaki, he might get some run as well. He's a special teams guy. He's a two-way player. That's what he was drafted to be. So give me Craig Reynolds in a very elusive, crazy spot. I like the idea of Emmanuel Wilson, again, the Green Bay Packers young running back. And again, you look at Green Bay and Jacksonville. This just screams stack up Green Bay wherever you can. And I've said stack players fade players in the same game, 4 players in the same game. And every time I say it, I go, you sound like a dipshit, because it doesn't even make sense to me. But in my head, it does. And that's all that really matters, I guess. But Green Bay and Jordan Love should go absolutely nuts today in Jacksonville. Jacksonville's 26th overall against opposing running backs. Emmanuel Wilson, 5-6 on FanDuel, 4-4 on DK. And when you look at, I do have Emmanuel Wilson for double-digit targets and touches. Could be exactly 10, but that would be considered double-digit targets. He's averaging 4.7 yards, a carry. He's only got 47 of them so far, 221 yards, got 1 touchdown, and that's a receiving touchdown. But I'm telling you now, I see a case where Emmanuel Wilson finds the end zone at least once. And what are the chances that Jaden Reed, who's off the injury list and injury stuff, what if he falls funny? And it's not bad news, right? He could go back in, but they're up, 17 points, 20 points. Let's just feed Emmanuel Wilson. He can swing out into the flat and catch something over there. That is fantastic to me. When you look at the Atlanta Falcons, again, I don't go out of my way to stack up Atlanta Falcons, but every game so far this season, win or lose, on paper, it's a fantastic idea, especially this week. They're in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is a tough team, but their wide receivers are absolutely decimated. And we'll talk about that when we get to wide receivers here shortly. I got to, compress the time, because we got about 22 minutes before lock. But Tyler Algier is in play as well for me. Ray Davis, I don't know what his status is. He was questionable, and if I'm not mistaken, the rookie
calling for bad weather in that game. I think a lot of rushing on both sides.
Yep, they're in Seattle. Seattle's always cold and rainy and miserable in a good way. So, as I said, Emmanuel Wilson, Ray Davis, Tyler Algier, maybe even a little bit of Dearness Johnson, if you can.
Love him at DraftKings, dude. Love him. If you can fill passing plays for sure.
If you can stomach that, yeah. And if Keith's given it the stamp, then it must be fantastic. We talked about Jaleel McGee. So let's move on to wide receivers here. Again, a whole lot to like in my notes, at least. Let the camera focus. I got back to the old days of bottom of the barrel, where it was like I wrote down 20 wide receivers, 20 running backs, and it's easy to hit on a few guys when you mention 60 people all in once. But I didn't. I wrote down Ladd McConkey. I wrote down Jalen Waddle. I wrote down Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks in Jacksonville. They're 29th overall against opposing wide receivers, but that was it. I didn't even write their price tags down because I didn't want to jinx it. But when you look at wide receivers, I know everybody under the sun is going to be stacking Rashad Bateman. Then that makes sense given Zay Flowers' status. But Troy Franklin in Denver, that's my three-headed monster: Bo Nix, Javonte, and Troy Franklin. I've gotten away from it because it's just gotten so GD popular the last few days. But where are you going at with wide receivers this week from a whatever you want to do perspective? Cash games, GPP,
for sure. So again, for cash, you either play AJ Brown or Jamar Chase, because of the values that we have. Because again, we'll get into some of these receivers here, and then there's ways you can save money. Bo Nix, Javonte. I think you have to play either AJ or Chase. I think that game's going to be relatively high scoring. Chase scares me a little bit. Dave Eddy is one of the smartest people I know. He's all in on him, so that's making me put him in lineups. My concern is just he hasn't been quite as good in the games without T. Higgins this year, and with Higgins out, but Chase is so good, and he's right. The volume is going to be insane, which is what you're looking for in cash. AJ Brown is just about this is a Bengals team that they run man at one of the higher rates in the NFL. That's bad news versus AJ Brown. His target rate this year versus man, almost 40%. His fantasy points per target, over 4 fantasy points per target versus man. So I think Brown's going to have a big game. Drake London, to me, is a really good play at 7,200. He's just safe, and that's what you're looking for in cash. 8+ targets in 5 straight, 6+ receptions in 6 straight, 17.4 points or more in 5 of 6. He's also had a receiving touchdown in 5 of 6. And then the big thing is this is the game where he went bananas versus Tampa team. This was his monster game where he had like 15 for 150. Tyreek Hill, 7K. It's hard not to put him in lineups. Again, he scored 25 points or more in 10 of his last 18 games with Tua, that Tua started and played in the regular season the entire game. 25 points or more. He scored double digits in every single one of them, all 18. The only concern I have with Tyreek is if Miami gets up big, it would make sense with Tua's head stuff, right? That they're going to run the ball. A lot of A-Chain, a lot of, Mostert, like that kind of deal. That's why I do lean A-Chain slightly over Hill, but obviously I have Hill and cash lineups because the upside's outrageous. Brian Thomas is one of my favorite plays this week, 6,400. Unbelievable rookie season. We know that. He's 24th in targets, 37th in target share, and 32nd in target rate. And despite that, he's putting up basically double digits each week. The reason I like him so much, though, is Green Bay runs single high, basically defense 55.3% of the time. Thomas versus this particular defense, his numbers are outrageous. Over a 23.4% target share. The big thing, 3.12 yards per route run. And then the biggest, he is seeing the first read share 26% of the time. So if the Packers are running this defense 55%, which that's what they've done for the season, this guy is basically getting 1 out of every 4 passing plays against a target right now when the Jags are seeing it. So you got to love that with his talent. And then the bargain plays. You mentioned Rashad Bateman. Completely agree. It's the fact that the Browns struggle with downfield reception. They gave up a lot of big explosive plays. He is 6th in average target depth. He's 6th in fantasy points per target. He's 5th in yards per reception. Like all these numbers at big plays. And he's doing a lot with basically 4 receptions. He's not going to have a huge ceiling because, again, it's like 4 for 70 and a touchdown is kind of what we're looking for in this price range. But there's 2 guys in the 3,000 range. And again, I'm sorry to step on your toes. I know this is your deal, Chris, but these guys are cash plays. And I rarely ever say that for guys in this range. The first is Devon Bailey from Denver. I know you mentioned Franklin, who I do like, but let me tell you something. Bailey, he's a 6'5" wide receiver who plays predominantly in the slot. The Panthers are starting a rookie who is 5'10" as their slot corner. His PFF grade so far this year is 30th. Out of all the wide receiver cornerback matchups on PFF, only A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase have a better ranking or a matchup than Bailey. That's insane. Like he's got the 3rd best matchup. He's 3,400. Panthers run zone at the 11th highest rate in the NFL. Versus zone, he's 2nd on the team in yards and receptions. Remember, he's missed 2 games too. He runs 73% or more of the routes in his last 2 games, at least 60% in all of them. And I know he had that 3.8 point performance last week, but over 11 points in the other 2 games he played. So I love him this week, especially stacking him with Knicks if you want to do that. And then Cedric Tillman versus Baltimore, 3,300. Like the upgrade of Jameis, obviously that's big. But what it's really about was he had not seen more than 40% of the snaps or ran 40% of the routes all year with the Browns. They trade away Amari Cooper. We know that to Buffalo. He immediately runs basically 70% of the routes, plays 80% of the snaps. And boy, was he great, right? 12 targets, had 8 receptions. He had seen 7 targets for last week. So he had, 5 more than he did for the season. He had 8 receptions last week, 3 more than he had in the season. 81 yards. That was 72 yards more than he had in the season. And the big thing for me is Jameis is just so much better than Watson. And Jameis played that 1 possession, right? Mm-hmm. He threw it 12 times if you count the 2-point conversion. 3 of them went to Judy. 3 of them went to Njoku. That's no surprise, but 3 of them went to Tillman. So if he's seeing that kind of volume in that hierarchy, even if he's a 3rd, 4th option, at 3,300 versus Baltimore, missing multiple corners, and he's also their best deep threat of their receivers. I think both Tillman and Bailey are great cash game plays that allow you to put more of these expensive guys in your lineup.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You hit on a ton of good stuff there. I'm going to double down on a few things, and I'll just breeze through it quickly because it's exactly 12:45 Eastern. We have 15 minutes until the 1 p.m. lock, Q2. And I heard recently that the kids coming up now that are in high school, first, they don't even teach cursive anymore. And now they don't even know the slang terms for time. Like if you asked a kid, it's Q2, what does that mean? They have no idea, which is strange. But most of them think it's 25 minutes after, or because it's a quarter. That's how silly and stupid some people are. But when we look at wide receivers, like I said, I'm going to double down on Bateman, obviously, Troy Franklin, Cedric Tillman. I'm going to start briefly with Alec Pierce. Indianapolis is playing Houston. You might say, well, Anthony Richardson, I believe, is going to get the start, and he's that's not good when your young stud quarterback completely suppresses half the guys. Like Josh Downs has been an outstanding wide receiver, but it's always been Joe Flacco at quarterback, right? And then Alec Pierce has been fantastic as well. Fun fact: Alec Pierce leads the NFL in yards per reception, 25.45 yards a catch. So if he catches 4 passes, right, theoretically, that would be 100 yards. So to me, Alec Pierce is in play. How long? They're not going to pull Anthony Richardson after a quarter or two. He is their guy on paper, but Joe Flacco has been fantastic. I want to go to Joshua Palmer, the Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver. They're playing New Orleans, and the best piece of advice or the best comment I could give you here is Justin Herbert is finally, looking healthy. Yeah. He's back healthy. And, the last few weeks it was awful to see. It's like people have Justin Herbert's got to be 35 years old already, not won a thing. And he's just, but Justin Herbert is still an outstanding young quarterback with a rocket arm. And when you look at Palmer against the Saints, and I mentioned this in bottom of the barrel, if the New Orleans Saints stink, they have no wide receivers, their quarterback issue is like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? That could skew the time of possession in the Chargers' favor. And there was a ton of comments in here already, J.K. Dobbins or who? J.K. Dobbins and them, right? The Chargers have everything that they need, to go on a run and win games, and specifically this game in general against the Saints. And if the Saints are 3 and out, and maybe 1 or 2 first downs here and there, that would make for a good bet, right? I think you'd have to scroll down and look for it on the sport, whatever sports book you like, but I'm almost certain you can bet on how many first downs in the first half or how many points in the first quarter. I would go under first downs in the first half for the Saints, or under points scored in the first quarter, given the lowliness of their offense. When you look at Josh Palmer, he had the best performance of the young season in week 6. He caught 4 or 5 targets for 63 yards. And with Joshua Palmer, we've seen it. The kid has everything he needs, but he hasn't been able to take advantage of, Keenan Allen splitting, Mike Williams, splitting. So now, something's going on slowly.
Their line's getting healthy too, and he's the downfield receiver. So that's just going to open it up for him, which is where he can do damage.
I think it comes together this week, and for every week, leading up to the rest of them. As I said, I like the idea of, again, another garbage time play. Calvin Ridley, the Tennessee Titans wide receiver, they're in Detroit. And again, I'm banking on the Lions, winning by double digits, getting up 21-0, 24-0, something along those lines. And look, Mason Rudolph, is he a good quarterback? No, but he's going to be a starting professional quarterback today. So there's got to be something going there where he's smart enough to make plays and just throw the football. And Calvin Ridley has been actively, upset with, I'm not getting these looks and whatever. I think there's going to be a point made between Mason Rudolph and Calvin Ridley in this one, and a ton of garbage time points. And right now the Lions 30th overall against opposing wide receivers. They're as tough as it gets against running backs. So I could see this little openings here for Calvin Ridley to go off. Let's just call it what it is: 100 yards, 110 yards, a touchdown reception, maybe of the 40+ yard variety here for Calvin Ridley. Rome Odunze for the Chicago Bears. They're in Washington. Washington, by the looks of my notes, 25th overall against opposing wide receivers. Caleb Williams, mentioned it at the beginning of the broadcast, right? The young kid finally looks to be, not turning things over, but, things are clicking. He's had a very good 2-3 game stretch here, and Rome hasn't done much, but it's one of those, I always say it, the shell game. 1 week it's going to be, DJ Moore, then it's going to be Keenan. It hasn't really been Keenan Allen at all, but
he had 2 touchdowns last week, but it was only like 4 targets. Yeah,
which is nuts. I mean, he's already. I don't get me started. I've always been a Keenan Allen guy, but Rome makes for a nice move if you want to use Caleb Williams at the quarterback. You mentioned Cedric Tillman. How about in Tampa Bay? Talk about the shell game. They have, probably 4 wide receivers that could, actively be their wide receiver 1 for Tampa, with Godwin out and with Mike Evans out. Personally, I think it's Cade Otton is the most beneficial, but I'm going to hitch my wagon to Jalen McMillan, the rookie here, Atlanta 22nd overall against
most upside for like MME for sure. Big play guy.
Exactly. He knows. He was a trendy kind of sleeper in like seasonal and dynasty, drafts and formats. And I think we're going to see him put something together here, averaging around 12.3 yards a reception. And the Falcons, the middle of the pit. I'm not telling you.
We get no pressure, which is the real concern. So he's got plenty of time to get down the field.
Yeah, and when Baker is, an above average quarterback in my book, and again, we saw the graphic, when Mike Evans, they're like 1-75, the win-loss when Mike Evans is not on the field, and now there's no Chris Godwin, so there's going to be no guesswork. But Tampa Bay had we didn't even mention the value there at running backs, with Bucky. I know he was, nursing some sort of lower body thing. Rashad White is also active. There's a lot of pieces for this Tampa Bay offense that could essentially.
He could see a lot of receptions too. Like I think that they're going to throw to the backs a lot as well.
Yeah, they're middle of the pack. I was saying they're allowing, around 22 points. This is Atlanta Falcons are allowing opposing wide receivers 22 points, fantasy points a game. And that's in seasonal formats and dynasty formats, which translates to DFS here. And they're tied for the 6th most receiving touchdowns given up with 9. So putting McMillan in a prime juicy spot in DFS formats. 4.9 on FanDuel, only 3.7 on DK. It's fantastic. And if you wanted to sprinkle in 2 Tampa Bay wide receivers, Trey Palmer is a decent for me as well for all the things I just mentioned. So it is 12:53. We have around 7, maybe 8 minutes if we talk faster. What are you doing at the tight end position this week? And it's just chocked full again with value and cheap dudes.
So I started the week all over Njoku and Ingram, who again I think from a volume perspective, like they're the guys that I'm most confident they're going to have really good games, but it doesn't matter when Cade Otton is 3,500. You started to make the case, and that's literally what it is he's going to see it. I mean, this is a guy that even before the injury, right, 37 targets over his last 5, so they were already throwing it to him at a very high rate. He's top 5 in targets, receptions, red zone targets, snap shares, route runs, like you name it. And he's 3,500. It doesn't make any sense. And he's going to get the ball. Like with Godwin and Evans out, like I think that the receivers, again, MME, I love that. Like take your pick on which one of them. But for cash, it's going to mean more passes to Rashad White, more passes to Cade Otton, more like they're going to be safe. Like they're going to do, the warm blanket, right? Like they've played together. Receivers will know who it's going to and where they're playing next week. So again, like Njoku, smash play. I'd rather save the money with Otton at 3,500. He's in 100% of my cash lineups. Like I didn't go anywhere else than him. So that's basically the tight end this week for cash.
Yeah, and it's easy peasy. Stacking up or not stacking up, but using a cheap tight end is always been my move. And if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. 30 yards, let's just say three catches for 30 yards and a touchdown is realistically all we need from the spot. Cade Otton is a wonderful play. I like Hunter Henry, Dalton Schultz. Noah Fant has been not a revelation, but he's been as, steady Eddie as it goes, 4 to 5 receptions.
No Metcalf. Like, I think he's a very sneaky play this week.
Yeah. And we're looking at if it's going to be as nasty as the forecast says you're looking at like a lot of another DFS buzzword, high upside targets inside the red zone, inside the 10, right? First down, second down, running back gets stuffed at the line of scrimmage or barely gains anything that might a little bit of a play action, I think is the term. And boom, a 5-yard reception for a touchdown for Noah Fant. If we're going to stack Denver and Carolina, right, as we think it's going to be some monumentous blowout for Denver, then that means Carolina is going to be trying some things and moving the ball. And Bryce Young is going to be the starting quarterback this week. Andy Dalton got in a car accident and sprained his thumb, of all things. It's so weird. I mean, we're glad he's okay, obviously, but their rookie Jatavian Sanders could be in play. He's been trending in the right direction.
He's really good, man.
In hipster formats, right? People are keep coming up around there. Will Dissly, I love the idea of him for all the reasons I said. Herbert is healthy. The New Orleans Saints, 29th overall against opposing tight ends. He's had a fantastic last 2 weeks. Last week was probably the best game of the season, if I remember correctly. The best game of his career, something along those lines. Will Dissly, only $3,000 on DraftKings. That's basically free, right? That's probably
giving them away.
Yeah, they're probably cheaper than most DSTs. And I love the New York Giants tight end, the young kid Theo Johnson, the Giants at Pittsburgh 21st. Pittsburgh's been, a tough team, and they're 5-2, right? And it's crazy. Once they get rolling with Mike Tomlin as their head coach, Russell Wilson people were questioning Russell Wilson. What are you stupid? Russell Wilson looked like prime Wilson from the whole pack of Badgers. Pisses me off when he says that in the opening of every primetime game. So we're 3 minutes before lock. The Fantasy Six Pack is in the chat answering questions, going nuts. We had Andrews or Keenan Coleman in the flex spot, and it looks like Andrews, and it's not close. That's fantastic. Sam Cooper says Bigsby or Pickens, and Fantasy Six Pack says Pickens. I would prefer Tank, but that's just me. I think
the concern I get is that if they get behind, he's not on the field for passing plays, so they have to stay in that game for him to get the low. But I agree with you. If you think the game's going to be close, it's Bigsy. If you think they're going to win, Packers win easily, it's Pickens.
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm always thinking from a DFS perspective, and when you're at work or something, you're talking, and you're like, oh yeah, I like A, B, and C, and they're like, what are you, nuts? What are you, a dummy? Are you?
No, I do the same thing. Like, you get in that brain where, like, they tell me that on some of the shows when we're doing rankings. It's like, Keith, you can't rank him over him. I'm like, oh, I guess that is kind of crazy.
Well, I'm going to
like the matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. 2 minutes before lock, I have a few. It's a parlay. It's a 6-leg parlay, but I'll just mix and match for. If anybody's got a pen and a piece of paper, they want to write this down briefly. Basically, I put together all the teams that are getting points, and I parlayed it into one deal. Arizona Cardinals +4.5 against Miami. The Philadelphia Eagles +2.5 in Cincinnati. Cleveland +8.5 versus Baltimore. And again, it doesn't mean I have these teams to win outright, but they could lose and you still win the bet, obviously, for you betting novices, however you say it. The Colts +4.5 points in Houston. The New Orleans Saints +7, even. That's not an even number, but you get what I'm saying. Against the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Cowboys +4.5 points playing in San Francisco. That 6-leg parlay right there is it's like 50-1 +49.01. And then you can just mix and match. And again, the first half of it, they're like, it's top heavy with 1 o'clock games. So if you get a few of those to hit, by the time the 4 p.m. games come around, maybe you'll get a cash out option, which I would cash out more times than not.
Just cash out options.
Just for the heck of it. Did it last night with some home run parlays. Tommy Edman hits a home run, and then Soto wins a home run. Cash out for like $2,800. Clicking it every time.
Yeah,
so everybody, Keith, anything you want to say before we split?
Just I enjoy doing this show with you each week. There's so much good stuff on Fantasy Six Pack. You should check it out. And we appreciate each and every one of y'all that come here and listen to us each week.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Be good, be safe. Sunday Night Football video will be out relatively soon from now. Bottom of the barrel, it's good until the end of the day. If you want to put in some 405, 425 only lineups, that's your prerogative. That's what I'm going to do as soon as this broadcast is done. So be good, be safe, and let's get together again this time on Sunday. Or if you miss me, Sunday Night Football video, Monday Night Football video, or just turn on any social media, format. You're bound to see Keith pretty easily.
My mouth.
He's the James Brown of DFS, hardest working man in showbiz. See ya.
See you guys.